This is Brown right here. Stops, scoops it up and in. Wow! Oh my God!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Altmaier batted and intercepted. And it's Walcott bringing it back. Could he? Wire to wire, Sikkim Bears. How about it?
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Oh, look at that block. Float down.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And interesting fake. It worked. It's a touchdown to Ben Sims. Just love the poise of this young quarterback.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. Man, what a beautiful day it is. It's a little cold, but it is clear as a bell. Beautiful, very little wind. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. And thank you for being a part of today. You've already heard from Biscuits and Gravy with the two big green hearts and a teddy bear, a bear face in front, in the middle of it. And Scotty B, good afternoon. I'll join as soon as I'm able to, because I'm busy moving stuff from my late paternal grandmother's house. Oh, Scotty B, good luck with that. It's a Friday afternoon, and we're going to hear from Baylor President Dr. Linda Livingstone here in about 15 minutes. She was the one who presented legislation yesterday in Indianapolis to the NCAA convention. Her thoughts about really what it all means. Are they going to actually get anything done? And who is to benefit or who can be hurt by this? And her thoughts even about what it means to Division III, among others. We'll have her at 3:15 today. We're pretty loaded up today, Paul, with Alvin Brooks, Baylor men's assistant coach, at 5. What a day for Baylor yesterday. They picked up yet another commitment from a young man that's a part of this current class out of Florida. Grayson joins us about that and other things at 3:45. C.J. Moore, writer for theathletic.com, men's college basketball writer at 4. We'll also hear from Mitch Sherman, transfer portal. Paul, you mentioned Nebraska, you think has had a pretty good run.
I think
focus in on them at 4:20.
Yeah, I think they've addressed, like, if you look at some of the top 10s, they're not necessarily on that. They're like just outside of it. But I think that they've done a good job of practically addressing issues, which some teams, LSU's done a good job of getting players, but there was maybe a volume concern there. Like they needed human beings on their roster, and they've gotten the best of some of the ones that they could get, and that's good, but they needed heartbeats and people there playing on the roster because they had a lot of gaps.
Imagine what happens if, in fact, they can land Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and so I do think that we're going to have to probably go to Ryan Abraham sometime next week if Caleb Williams does lock in, because USC, now that they've got a lot of these people in the boat, so to speak, in LA, their transfer has been unbelievable. Of course, that's kind of to be expected when Lincoln Riley shows up on campus and changes the whole outlook of your program for perhaps the next decade or so.
Well, they just picked up somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Travis Dye, Oregon running back's headed to USC now as of about 20 minutes ago. So, that's another big pickup for Lincoln Riley, and that's going to be a completely different looking roster. It's going to be a mixture of whoever was elite enough to stay at USC, who they didn't decide to, get out of there, however measures they could, and a bunch of guys from Oklahoma, and then a bunch of just like an all-star transfer portal cast, and that's going to be his team. And, I think with his offense, I don't think it's going to take them long to probably be pretty effective on the offensive side of the ball, especially if they land Caleb Williams. I mean, that's the big thing right now is who's their quarterback, and is it Caleb Williams? And if it is, and you add Travis Dye, and you add Latrell McCutcheon this week and all the other guys they've gotten, there's a reason for USC fans to be thrilled. But then again, that's what you hired him for. Like, you hired him to do exactly what he's doing right now. So, that's to be expected, I think. And if they weren't sitting there tearing up the transfer portal, then I would be questioning, like, well, what was the point if he's not, so he's doing what he's supposed to do. Point being, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and his name and the LA Lights are going to be appealing to a lot of guys. And Travis Dye from Oregon, a really good running back, he had like 9 100-yard games last year. He is the latest, so they're stacking it up.
Alfonso Allen is a young man from Florida, from Miami Central High School. He's the one that committed to Baylor yesterday, and he's actually a part of the class of 22. Kind of an interesting backstory there. I did call Miami Central High School earlier today. Didn't get a hold of anybody because I was on hold for 7 minutes, so I just decided that's fine. But we'll have Grayson kind of break that down. All right, Armstrong, on the Chris Becker tweet. These are 6 names. Oklahoma State, every first week, starting defensive back has transferred or declared for the NFL draft. Jarek Bernard Converse, of course, transfer portal, grad transfer. Then Holmes, Sterling, Harvey Peel, McAllister, and Jason Taylor. And so Oklahoma State, who had that really terrific defense, could lose their entire starting secondary or those who started that opening week.
Well, Jason Taylor, you see, that was just saying, well, he's still here, but it's still a long offseason, I guess, basically meaning that he's not gone anywhere just yet. But don't forget they lost their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I mean, that plays a huge role nowadays. I mean, guys left when other coaches left, but now it's like, I think, going to be way more prevalent. I think the movement when a coach leaves is going to be far more drastic than it used to be, because I know Ohio State's already picked up guys, and that's a lot to make up for. I mean, an entire starting secondary. You can go to the transfer portal and kind of recoup some of that, but that's going to be difficult to get on the same page that you were last year for sure.
So my concern is this, and no, it's not a concern. That sounds less negative. So when you hire a coach now like Lincoln Riley, there's no question he probably told him, hey, I can bring a chunk with me. And maybe Caleb Williams, among others, Mario Williams, whoever else. Now when you go sit down with a coach, it used to be, can you win here? Now, winning means being a hell of a game day coach, but also the program, setting up everything, the football operations, recruiting, which meant high school players. Now it's as much the transfer portal, and probably more so, even though you'd still like to grow from the ground up with your depth and hit in your players. But this has changed everything.
Well, now it's not just can you get players here, can you keep them here? Even when you're successful. Look, Oklahoma.
What if you can keep them and then bring some others?
Yeah, but Oklahoma State losing all these guys, even though they lost their defensive coordinator, to me is still surprising. I mean, it kind of is and it's kind of not, in that I know that Mike Gundy's probably not the easiest guy to play for. And, he's had some bumps in the road. So maybe given the opportunity, if guys want to go play with Jim Knowles or Jim Knowles is gone, or you've got the opportunity to play in the NFL, you go. But if you're losing guys to other schools, like, that's going to be a thing. Can you not only get good players here, but can you keep them here and keep them happy? Because there are all these other things. It's a wide open field right now. So how do you get players there and keep them there? Because the rules are not in your favor anymore of keeping them there.
I got to be honest with you guys. The hand-wringing over the portal and all that, I'm pretty done with it. I mean, this is what it is. This is college football now. So, these coaches who are getting paid millions of dollars, they can worry about it. They get paid really good money to have to keep these guys on campus. And they've got every tool now at their disposal to be able to do that. If you don't want a guy leaving because Lincoln Riley left, then come up with an NIL deal for him. If you can't do that, well, then you know what? Other options are better for him. And that's what these guys have now. They have options. And, if I had, company A, company B, company C coming at me, I love you guys, but if somebody's like, hey, we'll give you $1 million, and I go to Colton and say, like, hey, well, I got to at least tell you, like, here's this offer. And they say, well, sorry, we can't match that. Well, I got to make a business decision. You know, it's not well, Colton and them were loyal to me from yeah, they were. But ultimately, like, how long do I have to be loyal before I also get what I need to get for me? Right? Mm-hmm. So that's what these guys are doing. So, like, the portal is what it is and the transfers. So, you know, Jim Knowles leaves. Now when a coach leaves, you got to do that much more to try to keep him. And you have to know if that guy leaves, well, there's probably going to be some fallout from that. So it's another thing that you have to prepare for, but it is what it is.
I think I'm with you now. I'm getting to that point where, because anything that's new, I'm not afraid of new. I'm just sometimes, wait a minute, what does new mean? But I'm at that point almost now where no one has an excuse to be too bad.
No, you don't, because you don't have an excuse, because you do have the transfer portal. My point on it was it's another added pressure on the coaches or the alumni of, like, okay, not only used to be able to, look, I've got this guy, unless he wants to go through one hell of a headache, he's going to be here for 4 years. I've got this guy. So I can develop him. He can sit on the bench, and I can make sure he develops, and then I can be confident in my depth as seasons move on. Now you have to completely refresh. So, yeah, these guys are going to have to earn their money even a little bit more, which is why you see guys in general manager positions, and then you'll have one guy who's in charge of recruiting high school kids and one guy who dives into the portal every single day and does that. So I think that, the portal, to me, the portal's fine, but it does completely change how coaches have to look at things, and I do think the ones who don't adjust to that manner of thinking are the ones who are going to get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, how many hours would we have to have been talking about, like, the MLB lockout versus, this guy just jumped in the transfer? I mean, that's most of our comments. Yeah. So, like, we should be grateful, if anything.
I agree.
I think that's kind of like how Max Olson has approached it as well. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't maybe initially like, man, I get to cover the transfer portal. Like, what? And now, like, every day there's 5-10 names that he has to, write a story about or cover, and that's what it is. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm with you, like, Paul, from the standpoint of, if there is a big negative to any of it, it is the fact that, like, I think not even from the coach's standpoint, from the fan standpoint, you don't know who's on your team every year. I mean, and it was kind of that way, but it's like now we're like, who's on Baylor's team? Is that guy a redshirt junior? Is he a fifth-year senior with no like that stuff? I have no idea. And so I think, like, our familiarity with the rosters now, it's just very fleeting. How excited did Oklahoma fans get about Caleb Williams? And then, boom, he's gone, right? Or how excited did, School A get over – or how excited was Ohio State over Quinn Ewers? All for nothing, basically. And these rosters just flip so quickly. I think that the thing that kind of sucks is you just can't really – wrap your arms around a team and feel like, oh, this is my team and these are the guys and this is who it's going to be for the next 3 or 4 years. Now it's like, man, I just hope he stays next year because he's really great. And that kind of sucks, but that's what it is. We
got a break here because Dr. Linda Livingstone will call in here momentarily. There's some entertainment news we'll get to in this hour as well. CJ Moore on men's basketball at 4, Grayson at 3:45, David Smoak and Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. And this is Sikkim, 365 Radio and 365 Sports. The father-daughter dance from Discover Woodway, discoverwoodway.com, the city of Woodway, is sold out. And by the way, they are still going to take a waiting list. So you can go to discoverwoodway.com or download the app, the Discover Woodway app, and you can still at least put your name on the list for the possibility of more seats that open up or an extra table or two that opens up for the father-daughter dance that is in early February. Go to discoverwoodway.com for more information. And if you have any kind of special event that could be for fundraisers, conventions, corporate meetings, galas, weddings, banquets, don't forget the pavilion at the Carleen Bright Arboretum offers perfect backdrops for your upcoming events and can hold up to 360 guests if you need that many. It's discoverwoodway.com.
This month, it's all about the championship drive as our hometown team celebrated the Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl win. So can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. During the Start Something New sales event, shop for power, performance, and reliability with Allen Samuels. Maybe you're planning your next adventure. Choose from a range of Jeep models, including the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
All right, we're back. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dr. Linda Livingstone, President, Baylor University, with us on the show. And Dr. Livingstone, first of all, I know it's been a long couple of 2 or 3 days, the convention, Indianapolis, and you getting back. And thanks for your time. What was it like for you to be the one asked to present the legislation yesterday to the convention?
Well, thanks for having me with you today, David. It's a pleasure to join you as always. It was a busy couple of days, but it was certainly a privilege to be able to make the motion for acceptance of the new Constitution. It's been a lot of work on the part of many people over several months, and lots of input from across divisions and across institutions over that period of time. And so to sort of bring that to closure and to have a part in that was a real special opportunity.
Broad strokes for people who may not understand NCAA governance or all that. You guys have are proposing to decentralize the oversight of college athletics. What does that really mean in simple terms for people?
Sure. Well, the previous Constitution was like 40-some pages. This reduces it to about 20 and really tries to keep centralized the essential things that have to be done kind of within the central organization, and then decentralized to the divisions. There's 3 divisions, Division I, which we're a part of, Division II, and Division III, to make a lot more decisions that might be more relevant to their individual members. And it tried to simplify some of the processes. It's very bureaucratic to get things done in the NCAA. And so the hope is that as we move some things down to the division level, and then they can determine what needs to be done at the division level, what could potentially be done at the conference level, what could be delegated to schools. So each division has more autonomy while still under the central umbrella of the NCAA.
Is it possible to know yet whether Division II or Division III, and I know Division III is non-scholarship, but they do get a piece, a small chunk, a piece of the NCAA revenue. Should they be concerned about being completely left out of any kind of revenue stream?
One element of the new Constitution guarantees Division II and Division III the same percentage of revenue they've been getting. And so, and it also has some guarantees related to the types of services they'll continue to get from the central office. So the intent was to try to help ensure that they were able to continue to be successful at the level that they have been and to provide that ongoing, consistent level of support.
One of the biggest reasons that this had to happen, Dr. Livingstone, was that the NCAA in its current form was pretty toothless when it came to punishing wrongdoing. Now, I understand that there's a lot of things that used to be illegal that are no longer illegal that have updated with modern times, and that's probably another reason you got to shave some pages off that Constitution. But when schools break the rules, will the new NCAA have teeth to punish them for doing so?
So part of what has been delegated to each division is to really look at the enforcement elements most relevant to that division. One of the challenges that we have in the NCAA is that there's just tons of rules. And those have sort of been accumulated over many, many years. And the NCAA was already going through a process of trying to go through those and simplify, particularly at Division I, to try to make it, one, easier to comply, and then really say, what are those rules that matter the most, that link most directly to the values of the institution, the fairness of competition, and then what do we have rules about that we don't really need? And frankly, some of the rules that have caused us some issues from a legal perspective over time. So basically, Division I will have the opportunity now to look at its own approach to enforcement and what should that look like? What should we be having rules around? And then how are we going to, what's the mechanism going to be to hold people accountable to that and then to sanction individuals? The other thing you'll see in the Constitution is a pretty clear statement, a couple of clear statements related to enforcement. One, acknowledging that there are certain areas that really are the purview that should be enforced by other institutions or other entities and not the NCAA. And then also that there should really be an effort that those who were not involved in terms of student athletes and programs, that when it comes to enforcement and penalties, try to the extent possible not penalize those that had no role in the activities that took place, because that's been some of the criticism as well, that oftentimes it takes so long to get these cases through the process that when the penalties come down, you're penalizing people that had absolutely nothing to do with the infraction. So those are the kinds of things we're going to have to look at in Division I to ensure that our rules are around the right things that really matter. And then what's the process for enforcing and what's the mechanism for sanctions that has some teeth and really matters to make a difference.
Well, you're the president at Baylor, but you're a part of the Big 12 and on committees there, but you're also an Oklahoma State alum. Do you feel like that could be almost what the basketball team and Mike Boynton had to deal with this recently?
I haven't looked at that case real directly or looked at it in comparison with those other similar cases. I certainly know that the folks at Oklahoma State were not pleased with that outcome. But I think that case is illustrative of some of the questions that people have and looking at whether there was fairness or not in that particular situation. I certainly, like I said, I don't really have an opinion about that because I haven't looked at it in enough detail to know. But those are the kinds of situations that I think raise a lot of questions that we've got to look at how we make sure that there's as much fairness as possible and that we're sanctioning the right things for the right reasons.
Dr. Livingstone, do you feel like this is more than just another convention or legislation or meetings or committees or subcommittees? Is this going to lead to actual something happening? I know it won't happen overnight. There was the vote yesterday, 80% to 20%, but is this actually going to get a big boat out in the ocean where it's going to go somewhere or just sit on the dock?
Well, I'm on the Transformation Committee at Division I, and I think all along we've recognized that the most significant issues and the biggest concerns have been in Division I. So I think now we could have recognized that what we were doing with the Constitution was the first step, and that it actually then frees up the divisions to address their own issues. And so I think we would all acknowledge, and we've said this publicly, that the heavy lifting in many ways and the really hard work is now going to reside in that Transformation Committee of Division I. And I know that those of us that are on it are really committed to taking that very seriously. And we recognize the name of the committee is Transformation, and that's what people are expecting. And that's really what we need. So we haven't had any in-depth sort of working meetings yet. We've had some introductory meetings, but we'll get started with our rolling up our sleeves next week, and we're meeting weekly for the foreseeable future. So I certainly believe that group is deeply committed to that and really trying to make some significant changes that will set up Division I and just college athletics for continued success into the future. But we know it's not going to be easy work, and there's going to be some really hard issues that we're going to have to work through.
Is one of the reasons that this is finally happening that the people, because getting everybody in a room and agreeing on a mission as the NCAA is difficult when you have hundreds of institutions with varying degrees of belief on what the role should be and how involved they should be in it, and university presidents like yourself who have different agendas all over the map. Did it take the beating of the last 4 or 5 years that the NCAA take for some of these people who were never wanting to change it to go, okay, we've got to update the software here?
I think it became obvious over the last several years because of all the issues that we faced and the rapidity with which those happened, and really the difficulty in some ways that we had in the NCAA of being proactive in dealing with issues and instead ended up being more reactive, which ended up obviously not necessarily being in what we think is the best interest of some of the things for our student athletes or even our sports programs broadly. And so we knew, those clearly had an influence. I think some of the calls by other entities to actually come in and seek to provide oversight and governance of college athletics caused great concern, because we feel like we are the ones best positioned to know what's in the best interest of our student athletes and college athletics. But we've got to ensure that people have confidence that we can do that and do that well. And I think this new constitution is the first step in that process, and this next phase with the transformation committee is going to be really critical in that.
And you hear about the haves and the have-nots, and I'm not sure about whether that is true, but it appears as if it might be going that direction, especially with autonomy 5, whatever. But then again, Baylor, even though you've had an incredible run athletically, and you have a budget that's very large, and you guys have done incredibly well, and the new facilities going up, is there still concerns about the haves and have-nots could also even gobble up some teams in Division I?
Well, one of the things that we have to talk about on the transformation committee is what is it that makes it Division I, and what kind of binds us together as a division, and what should those elements be? And I think we're going to have that conversation, and it's going to be an important part of it. And I think we feel really strongly that, there's a lot of diversity in Division I, and it's probably, of all three divisions, the most diverse division. You have, the Power 5, the Autonomy 5, and then you've got schools that are in the FCS that don't necessarily, some of them don't even have football programs, but yet have really amazing other programs and basketball programs. So I think that's one of the questions and challenges is how do we work within that diversity? What does that look like going forward? And what does that say about who we are as Division I and what we should be as Division I? So I think there's going to all be the kinds of questions that we're talking about and addressing deeply in the weeks and months ahead.
What has it been like for you to be now a part of a university that goes R1, be a part of a university that's having this success? Because we've heard, even seen during some of the realignment discussion, that wherever a school is, academically also makes a difference. It should. What does that mean now that it's been a few weeks since that came down?
We were thrilled, of course, when we reached R1, Research 1 status by the Carnegie classification. And, it's certainly been a goal of ours. We had actually anticipated it would probably be 2024 before we reached that. So we were pleasantly surprised that we reached it in 2021. But it's just good for the institution. Success in athletics is good for the institution. Success in academics is good for the institution. And if you look at the schools in the Power 5 conferences, the vast majority of them are Research 1 universities. There are now only 2 private universities in the Power 5 conferences that are not Research 1 universities. So there's a very high correlation between your academic profile, your research profile, and the success and quality of your athletic programs. And so we care deeply about both of these areas. They matter to each other. There's interplay between them, and we want to certainly continue to ensure that on the academic side of things, we're continuing to grow and develop and get better, and that we're doing the same thing on the athletic side of things, because they matter to each other and they influence each other.
Last thing, I know you got to go, Dr. Livingstone, is that when you arrived, and a lot of times that's going to be kind of a book or a chapter about your legacy, whatever, but where the university is now, R1, athletic success has been going on for quite some time, but it's been even bigger and deeper. And then where you are, you and Mac Rhodes are part of some of these committees. And it's pretty astounding that where Baylor is and where they have been, what has been accomplished. What does that mean to you?
I think it's a testament to the Baylor community, the Baylor family, and the quality of people we have at this university, really at all levels. Our donor base, our leadership on the campus, our regent leadership now, that we're all focused on the same priorities. We're all deeply committed to those priorities, and we're all moving in the same direction. It really shows if you have alignment of priorities and direction, what it's like to be on the other side of these issues, and we just need to remember that and remain humble in the success that we're having.
How much easier is your job because you are aligned, president, AD, coaches all the way down when it comes to athletics?
It makes a huge difference. And the other thing that I love about Mac and his team and our coaches is how much they care about the rest of the university and how engaged they are in wanting to support what we're doing in academics, what we're doing in, the arts and other areas. And you do not see that alignment across the academic and athletic portions of many universities. And it makes a huge difference that we're all on the same page on all of these issues. And it has certainly contributed to our success.
Thank you very much, Dr. Livingstone. Appreciate your time.
Hey, happy to be with you today, David.
Thank you again. Dr. Linda Livingstone, President, Baylor University, delivered the one who delivered the legislation for the vote yesterday in Indianapolis and a part of the Transformation Committee, which is a big deal. That committee might be more powerful than I'm not sure about the alignment. That might be one of the most powerful parts of the NCAA now, and that's new. And she's on it. And a lot of different voices. And the fact that the R1 that came back in December, among other things as well, and appreciate her time coming back from Indianapolis and giving us 15 minutes.
Yeah, good to hear from her. Get to talk to her maybe a couple times a year, and obviously been very busy. And I'm just kind of waiting to see what all this ultimately means. What rules are made, what changes occur. I mean, we know more changes are coming, and they're streamlining and all that, but what does that actually look like, once we get on the other side of it? So I'm glad they're being proactive. I mean, that's the good news, is that's something the NCAA has not been for a very long time, and it's why they've been getting punched in the face over and over and over again from every angle, from every person that's had the ability to take a swing. They've swung and landed on the NCAA. So it's good to see them actually. It's good to see and feel like they're actually doing something, I guess is what I'm saying. And I have faith, if someone like Linda Livingstone's a part of a group, that there is work getting done and being done and for the better. So yeah, that's all great. And she's done an amazing job since she's been on campus.
I like what you said about enforcement, and that got to make the enforcement matter to people who broke the rules and not 4 or 5 years later.
Well, that directly goes to Baylor. I mean, it does.
And what you said about there are certain things that the NCAA has to tell this to people now because they didn't get it. Of course, they don't just listen to us because we've been saying it for 6 years. But the NCAA cannot enforce things that the cops have to do. That's not what the NCAA is. They are not. They don't have forensic department. They don't have a CSI. They don't have that. So there are things that are going to happen that are going to be egregious. And hopefully they'll be less and less because we may have learned some lessons, but they're going to happen. And when they do, the NCAA cannot do anything about it.
No, and again, the conflict, you and I, we've talked about this, Craig, Paul, our listeners, as far as the conflict of what Title IX really is or what it should be and what they should be handling and what they shouldn't be when it comes to things that are egregious or felonious or even, just flat out illegal or a police situation. All right, now, I want to do this. Armstrong. I know we had thanks to Dr. Linda Livingstone for being on. I'm sure she's pretty much got jet lag. Let's do it when we come back. A couple of 3 entertainment stories today. And sometimes on Fridays we do that anyway, a little bit, not softer or lighter, but when we come back, 3 entertainment stories, one that Craig's going to eat up alive, and 2 others that are sad because people have passed away that maybe you knew as you were growing up in life. This is Sick'em, 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
This month, it's all about the championship drive as our hometown team celebrated the Big 12 championship in a Sugar Bowl win. So can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. During the Start Something New sales event, shop for power, performance, and reliability with Allen Samuels. Maybe you're planning your next adventure. Choose from a range of Jeep models, including the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, on the chat room, Armstrong put up the question, what NFL game are you most looking forward to this weekend? And John responded with Packers and 49ers, hopefully in the snow. Let's see here.
Chiefs-Bills for me.
Chiefs-Bills?
I mean, I'm looking forward to all 4
Buffalo
games.
just
but
hammered New England.
That's the one to me that's the most interesting and I'm most intrigued by. But yeah, I'm going to watch all 4 and enjoy all 4. But that one in particular,
that's an old throwback.
Debo and the snow and ice and cold. Is it going to be snowing or is it just cold, Jack, in Green Bay tomorrow?
It'll be flurries.
It's going to be very cold.
Also, I look forward to that game because it reminds me of the Terrell Owens catch. And not that I was T.O. was a great player, Hall of Fame player, but he caught that pass from Steve Young when he was with the 49ers, got hit at the goal line, scored. But other games that the Packers and 49ers have played along the way. From John, they won't like the snow. From Red Wine 65, transfer portal is great for plugging holes quickly. It's now become even more than that. It's kind of like to reset your entire roster.
It is great, though, for plugging holes quickly. I mean, it is. If you lose like a star safety and you don't really have the depth behind them, you can go find a veteran safety from whatever school and plug them in, and they're a better option than having some true frosh out there who's not quite ready. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the benefits.
Roger, the Dodger, on the chat room, not Stahlback, but one of our viewers. Thank you, Roger. Real quickly, he's talking about wake me up when USC gets linemen. They used to be from the days of back, I think it was Ed Buddy and Bruce Matthews and, the former Cincinnati Bengals great. Munoz. I mean, they just cranked them out. I mean, that's what they were. They had running backs. Yes, they had others, but they had amazing offensive linemen, and he was worried about. He goes, let me know. By the way, whenever that happens.
That's a good point, though, because, a lot of people just look, wide receiver, woo, quarterback, woo, running back, wow. And then you're like, but who's blocking for them? And, Texas is a good example of that because, one of their issues has been offensive line. And, I know a lot was made about the whatever charity that, basically hired a new O-line. But those guys are all freshmen. So, are they going to be ready to go right with Quinn Ewers and Bijan and like hit it running right away, or is lying? So yeah, point being, yeah, like the bells and whistles are fun, but you got to have the big dogs too. And so that's what I'm going to kind of look at with some of these recruiting classes is like who really loaded up on the lines, and especially the ones that needed to, because that's going to make the biggest differences of all.
And Baylor, of course, got a bunch of theirs all coming back. From Jim Kane. The players need to be employees, no scholarships. They sign contracts, and this is how it needs to be. Clears up all the drama and crazy stuff. It will be what happens.
It might be headed that direction. I mean, ultimately, at some point there's going to be so much like give that you're going to have to give back something. It's not like, I don't think it's just going to be free reign for college athletes on every issue every time that an issue arises. Now, a lot of the issues that are jumping up right now, the NCAA doesn't really have a leg to stand on. They can't prevent them from getting paid. They can't prevent them from name, image, likeness. But yeah, I do think you're right that ultimately this is going to it's heading so far down the tracks that we're already giving you scholarships and we're giving you stipends and we're giving you this and now we're giving you name, image, likeness, that at some point you keep going down this track, then yeah, it is going to go the employee route. And I know there's actually been college athletes that have, put up lawsuits to try and, claim those employees, but like, be careful what you ask for. I mean, that's the thing is be careful what you wish for, because that might not go the way that you think it will. And if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, 30,000-foot view and you're looking at it from like the football, basketball standpoint, but you're a volleyball player, well, that's not the way to look at it, because that's not going to work out that way for you.
All right, 3 entertainment stories. Here's the first one, Craig. Not sure if you saw this. Texas Tech, when they host Texas on, I think, February the 1st, Ric Flair will be in Lubbock, freaking Texas.
Oh, God.
Woo!
Yeah. I mean, Rick, oh, boy. Ric Flair, man, I love Ric Flair. I thought somebody put it really well on a podcast I was listening to. They're like, Ric Flair, he's one of those guys that he was engineered for a very specific time period, and that time period is no longer now. And Ric Flair is one of those guys that, like, you look back at his past, you're like, let's just lock that away. Whoop, let's not talk about that, And he is one of a kind. There's no doubt about that, and I'm sure he will have that Lubbock crowd fired up.
They don't even need Ric Flair, but adding that to it. But
they really don't, but it's cool that he'll be there, and, that dude's lived some kind of life, I tell you that much.
Number 2 entertainment story. These next 2 are sad. Meatloaf.
I would do anything for love.
Meatloaf. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul. Now,
but I won't do that.
You're really doing a great job with that. Is that one of you sing in the shower? I
That's one of my.
I can do Elton John.
It's a good Meatloaf jam. That's the one that everybody goes to.
74 years old. Marvin Lee Aday, right? Passed away yesterday evening. Debbie by his side, his wife's statement. Inspiring artist, beautiful man. Cause of death not confirmed. He was 74. Debut album, the year I graduated from high school, 1977.
He was also a fantastic
actor. Out of Hell.
Fantastic actor, and he was the one I think of most is Fight Club. He was in Fight Club. His name was Robert Paulson in Fight Club.
Bat Out of Hell, by the way, remains to this day one of the best-selling albums in U.S. history with over 14 units sold. And then this one, Ric Flair was Craig.
I'm with you. I actually like him better as an actor than a
Yeah.
musician. I do, yeah.
And then
He's in Rocky Horror Picture
I
Show
couldn't
as well.
name any of his songs. But, and this one here, Paul Catalina, Louis Anderson. I thought he was gone. Well, he's gone. And there's a picture at the Super Bowl with Paul and one of our great friends, Eric Horton and Tyler Candles. With Louis Anderson in Minneapolis.
In the Mall of America, yeah. That's right there in the Mall of America. This is one of my favorite interviews I ever did in my whole career. I love Louis Anderson. He was very funny. You might remember from Coming to America. He was in the midst of doing an Emmy Award-winning role in the show Baskets with Zach Galifianakis at this time. He was really great, really gracious, and we don't, because we're Waco, normally get the entertainment interviews because we don't have enough TV sets or people who go to movies and their opinion. But we know the guy who books them normally, and he's pretty good to us. So I wrote him an email and said, listen, there is no one in the Mall of America today that can do a better interview with Louis Anderson than me. Please book it. And I felt confident in that. And it was a great interview. He will be missed. He was very, very funny. His part in Coming to America, which is a small role, but it was so funny.
It would have been a good time to have that interview.
Yeah.
Today. Well, we don't have the rights to it because it's in another media outlet.
Yeah, I might still have it. I don't know. It's been
too
2
late.
computers ago.
We're running it between now and 6. All right. Now, he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, complications from that. He's a funny guy. Man, we've seen a lot of the great comedians pass on. I actually had thought he was already gone, and that's not to be demeaning of him. Age of 68 years old.
That's 3. Well, let's say Betty White was a comedian too. So Betty White, Louis Anderson, Bob Saget, and Norm Macdonald all in the last year.
Yeah.
So
all right, when we come back, Grayson Grundhafer. Paul, that's a great picture. And Eric, again, the candle. Paul's holding, a good friend of ours, Tyler Candle Company. When we come back, Grayson Grundhafer. Baylor got a commitment yesterday from a safety out of Miami, Florida. What is it? Who is it? What is he? And why did it take so long for him to commit? He will be on campus. In fact, already is. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
BetUS.com. NFL playoffs this weekend. You just heard us talking about it. There's 4 games you can bet on. And for $50 right now, just 50. Used to be 100. Now it's just 50. You can get on and get the promo code bonus. Sikkim125, 125% bonus with cash, or Sikkim200, that's 200% bonus if you use crypto. So go to BetUS.com today. Use our promo code Sikkim125 and Sikkim200, and you can get a 125% bonus or 200% bonus, just $50. BetUS.com, promo code Sikkim125 and Sikkim200.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Erie Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of Sikkim365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour approaching, but right now we're not done. We'll have CJ Moore, athletic.com, on men's college basketball, then Mitch Sherman on Paul's list of the top or not so good transfer portal programs and what they've done during the offseason. Grayson Grundhafer, Sikkim365.com, recruiting analyst, also the Bearcats with Craig every Tuesday. So tell me about this journey, Grayson. Thanks for your time. Alfonso Allen from Miami Central High School. What has been the journey, and why so late in the process was he still available?
Yeah, guys, a really interesting recruitment for Alfonso. So obviously he's out of the Miami area, and it was kind of a really weird recruitment in the sense that he showed up on campus and was at the Baylor game over the weekend, the Baylor basketball game, and was sitting next to Dave Aranda. And to be honest, that was the first time I think anyone really knew just how much attention he had been getting and just how much the staff really liked him. And he was on his official visit at Baylor, got to go to the basketball game, like I said, really enjoyed the visit, and ended up, obviously, I mean, he's already signed. He's going to enroll early. So it was a really quick change for his recruitment. But I think the other spectrum that we have to look at is the fact that this was a guy who, at one time was a top 100 player. He's got, I think, like 40 offers. I mean, massive offers. When you look at his offer list, it's just really incredible to see the teams that Baylor, I guess you could say, beat out to land him. When you're talking about Alabama, Clemson, LSU, Michigan, Oklahoma, many, many others. But he kind of, lost some steam in his recruitment, lost his ranking, has fallen on 247 all the way down to a 3-star. But Baylor believes in him, and obviously getting him on campus and being able to see a guy who's as talented as Alfonso is, I think it's just a great pickup. And Baylor needs defensive backs, and so to go out and find one this late in the cycle who really is extremely talented, just had a weird recruitment, moved schools 3 times in high school. That doesn't help your recruitment either. So a lot of question marks there, but I think at the end of the day, Baylor felt great about answering all those question marks and feel like they have, a really, really talented player in this class.
Well, Miami Central High School, Grayson, is not a bad place to go when you're looking for players. Or
any school in Miami.
Yeah, but Miami Central in particular. Yep. Just recently, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Freeman, let's see, and Willis McGahee would be names that people would know very well.
Yeah, really, really talented area. I mean, and like you said, that's a very prestigious high school, and it has been for a very long time. So, yeah, like you said, very talented. He was only there for a year because he was at 2 other schools prior to that. But, yeah, very talented guy, and hopefully he can add to that list because if he does, he's going to make quite an impact at Baylor.
What does this mean in regards, Grayson, to Kamari Terrell? Is this a sign that he's probably headed to Oregon, which seems to be the hot team for him now, or would this have been a move they would have made it regardless of Kamari Terrell and how they felt about him?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And for me, I think the answer is that they would still take Kamari Terrell. And I think a part of that is that Baylor's been looking at the transfer portal for cornerbacks. They're trying to solidify that position. And I think just looking at Alfonso Allen, I don't think he projects the cornerback. His size, I just don't think is quite what they're looking for that position. I think he's definitely more of a safety, likely a boundary safety or the star position. So when I talk about boundary safety, I'm talking about the Christian Morgan spot. And of course, star would be Jalen Petrie. I think he's going to fit into one of those positions likely. So there's still a need at cornerback. And Kamari Terrell, I mean, yes, his recruitment has really taken off, and it looks like things are trending in another direction. And like you said, Oregon seems to be the team with a lot of momentum right now, and a lot of schools are looking at him. I mean, Alabama came down and was at Shoemaker the other day. So lots of attention for him. But if Baylor were to get him, I think they would absolutely take his signature and absolutely take him. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, and that means they're probably going to continue to try to address the position through the transfer portal and try to find a high-end transfer target who can come in and play right away. They missed on Latrell McCutcheon yesterday as he chose USC over Baylor. But, yeah, so they're going to continue looking at that position, and I do think that Kamari Terrell could still end up being a part of this class if he wanted to be. But like you said, it seems like things are trending elsewhere with him.
Back to Allen for a minute, and there is the concern any time you see a player bouncing around. Of course, it happens, but he has been in 3 schools in 4 years, and there are concerns sometimes when that happens. Do things get kind of behind when it comes to who you are as a student athlete? I've been told everything there is okay, but was that a reason that perhaps some started backing off, or maybe his number, star, and I don't like star ratings, but I know it's a part of the deal, changed a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think the academic side, when you're transferring that many schools, becomes very difficult. And so I think that, that was definitely a part of his journey and definitely plays a role in where you're ranked. I mean, if you look across the spectrum of recruiting rankings, he's a 4-star on Rivals, he's a 4-star on ESPN, and he's right at a 90, which is a 4-star on our side as well. But 247 is the one that has him all the way down at 86, which is a very, right middle of the road 3-star. So really, they're the only ones that are behind on this. I would hope that they update his ranking just because they should. I mean, he was dropped because it seems like because of the academic side of things. And now that those have been clearly answered, I would think that his ranking should go up on 247 to, somewhere between an 88 and a 92. I think that would be fair for him. I think that'd be fair for Baylor's recruiting class in general. And so we'll see. We'll see if they end up doing that now that he is enrolled at Baylor.
All right, Grayson, Craig, anything else? We got a couple other things to get to as well before we let you go. Grayson Grundhafer, Sikkim 365 recruiting analyst with us.
Grayson, I saw where Connolly's Kobe Black got Oregon offered yesterday, and Oklahoma just offered Kobe Black as well. Where does he fit in Baylor's recruiting plans here moving forward?
Yeah, so he's a 2024 kid that I'm actually really excited about. He's a guy who has tons of potential. You watch him play, he's got great speed, great length, which is something that Baylor loves. And he came to Baylor camp this summer, really performed well. Honestly, he was probably the best cornerback I saw there. And for a 2024 kid to be the best cornerback at a camp, that's really impressive. And so he got the offer after that camp. Baylor's been recruiting him hard. I know that a lot of other schools are as well. His brother Corey, of course, is the starting cornerback at Oklahoma State. So there's a little bit of a draw there as well. So I think Baylor's going to compete for him. I think it's going to be a tough one for them, even though he is the local kid. But I think at the end of the day, if Baylor can continue to show what they're building on the defensive side, I think that will be really appealing for a guy like Kobe. And honestly, I expect him to probably visit this spring and probably visit again in the summer and continue to be around the Baylor program quite a bit since he lives so close.
On Kamari Terrell, I talked with Toby Foreman, the head coach at Shoemaker. That's an incredible story. We talk about Allen getting some traction late after he got a bunch early. This is a great story, and you mentioned Oregon. It wasn't Oregon or a member of that staff, a friend of Toby Foreman, and that's kind of how they found out about Kamari Terrell. I don't remember exactly what he told me, but everyone thought he was track only, and then all of a sudden now every coach in America is beating down their door.
Yeah, I mean, there's been tons of recruiting people at Shoemaker over the last week. I mean, it's become crazy. And I mean, that's the reason why Baylor, of course, was like really doing everything they could to have him sign in December. But this is also the reason that he wanted to wait. And clearly he's gotten a lot of traction. I think prior to the signing day decision, I think he had started to see that traction. And then when he didn't sign, I think that really opened the door for a lot of these schools to come in and say, okay, we have a shot at him now. Because I do think Baylor was a clear leader following his official visit on December 10th. And now, USC, Florida, Clemson, and of course Oregon have all entered the fold. And he's a great player. And like I said, Alabama was there the other day. They might come down with an offer as well. So yeah, he's blowing up. And I think it's really interesting though, because Baylor knew first. Like Baylor was the school that knew how good he was. They saw his track times. They saw his length. They saw what he could do on the football field and took a chance on him. They were the first school to offer him and really built that relationship early, made him a priority. And, sometimes things don't work out even when you do that. But Baylor did everything they could in that recruitment. And so we'll see if they're able to finish strong. But, yeah, like you said, I think connections to Oregon are a big deal. And I also think just the fact that, a lot of schools have come in late and really shown a ton of interest in him has played a big role in his recruitment.
Thank you, Grayson. Appreciate your time, my man. Have a great weekend. Grayson Grundhafer has been busy. Sikkim 365 premium section, recruitment, transfer portal, etc., and the Bearcast Tuesdays with Craig as well. When we come back, CJ Moore covers men's college basketball. Mitch Sherman on one of the programs that perhaps has benefited, according to Paul, in his top 5, and as far as the transfer portal in Lincoln, and much more, including Alvin Brooks III, Baylor men's assistant coach, on their game tomorrow in Norman. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com. IdealMRI.com. It's one of the images, in fact, right behind me on this particular set. From day one, April the 6th of 2020, they said, hey, we want to be a part of the show. And Dr. Rob Maxey said, we don't want to just be a part of it. We want to be a big-time part of it. We want to be a title sponsor. Ding. That was simple. And what they do is incredible. And because getting an MRI can be complicated. One, it takes a long time to even get an appointment. And then when you get there, it takes forever to get into the MRI wherever it might be, as far as at a hospital or any kind of a clinic. And two, it can cost a lot of money and a lot of times hidden cost. IdealMRI.com, they have 2 or 3 just specific fundamental issues, things they want for you. One, $497 or less every single time. Not $497, then $953. $497 or less, they'll also help you with the insurance. That's one. Number 2, it's incredibly convenient and efficient. You call them, you can go online, you can go by, get your appointment. When you're there, there's not going to be a waiting room with a bunch of other people who might not even be there for an MRI, but they just stack up a room, and then it takes forever to get to the MRI machine. It will be efficient. It won't take long. So that's customer service 2. And number 3, they will find out what hurts so damn much. Shoulder, knee, whatever it is, muscle or ligament. Ideal MRI, if your doctor tells you they'd like to get an MRI of whatever it could be, you tell them you want to contact and have them contact IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace just south of Waco.
American Bank has been serving Waco since 1952, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Over the past few years, we've been busy investing in new technology to give you the best banking experience possible. We've also expanded our downtown branch and built 2 state-of-the-art buildings at our Woodway and Bellmead locations. With bright open lobbies plus fast, personal, interactive teller machines, everyone in Waco is now just minutes away from face-to-face banking. Visit us today and see how we're invested in serving you at American Bank. Member FDIC.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
The year is wrapping up, sports bettors, but BetUS still has your NBA, NHL, college football bowls, UFC, PGA, and of course NFL betting lines up for their 27th year. Live betting on all of it. Log in to BetUS.com today. Use our promo codes SICK'em125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'em200 if you use crypto. So use the 3-decade leader, BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'em125 and SICK'em200.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio.
John Wachachua comes up empty, but Flagler picks it up.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
So I contacted CJ Moore. It's been just a few days, and I said, hey, we'd like to get you on the show, talk men's basketball, whatever. And he goes, well, I got this project I'm working on. And yes, they sure do at theathletic.com. Secrets of college basketball transfer portal, rampant tampering, back channels, deals, and a blanked up cycle that CJ, along with Brendan Quinn and Dana O'Neill, wrote earlier today. How long have you been working on this one, CJ?
To be honest with you, I was actually done with that one. I was finishing the story on the Gonzaga point guard Andrew Nimhard that was due that day. You reached out, so but we worked a couple of weeks on that one. We talked to 17 coaches. I think I talked to 9 of them. So yeah, it was interesting to get the coaches' perspective on it, and I just encourage listeners to go read it because there's some fun, interesting, maybe some people would say concerning quotes in there. And, yeah, it's a lot.
Go ahead.
I would ask, how would you compare the, I guess, craziness of the college basketball portal to what football coaches are dealing with right now?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I could care less about college football and like pay zero attention to it. Okay. So I did have a couple college basketball coaches say, hey, the football one's pretty crazy right now. Like, just look at what's going on in football, and it could happen in basketball. And I know one in particular said, you know, I is my understanding from just him is a lot of these moves are NIL related. And, you know, his thinking was that part of it is going to get even more wild in basketball going forward.
Well, my question was going to be, is it actually even, I don't know if the word is dirtier, but is even more under the table, even with NIL being public, than it was when we saw all this stuff going down with Adidas and others? Is this going to get more, even dirtier?
If you want to call it dirty, I mean, in a way, hey, these kids can get paid now, so maybe it's not as under the table ish. But I still do think there's some under the table type discussions going on. So yeah, potentially, just because it's easier to spend money now.
How much tampering is going on, though? I mean, as far as just this guy is the 8th guy on the bench at school A and school B, my school, he would be the 4th. He would be in my starting 5.
I think the biggest part of it, and what the response I got from college coaches is, it's not necessarily college coaches reaching out and saying, hey, we want your guy, or hey, we want this kid. It's the AAU coaches reaching out to different schools and saying, hey, my guy's not happy, would you take him? And those college coaches being like such a, you know, terrible spot to be put in, because they're reaching out to us, and, you know, are we supposed to say absolutely not? But I think most of their responses is, hey, you know, yeah, we might take a look at him if he reaches the portal, but like, we're not going to mess around until there. So I think college coaches do get put in a pretty sticky spot in those situations.
Well, the transfer portal helps you fill gaps or spots or people who are leaving, going pro early or whatever, or you losing your own players. But how much success, when you look at what Scott Drew has done at Baylor, CJ, and he's not the only one, but he's had success bringing in others from around and actually won a national championship with a lot of guys that were elsewhere before and did not originally sign with Baylor.
Yeah, I think Baylor is a great example to look at and see how the old way sometimes actually benefited the player, in that sure, they didn't get a play right away, but having that year to spend in the program, and there's no pressure on, hey, I want to play this many minutes, I got to play this many minutes. It's just getting better. And I think that's where some kids will miss out, where sometimes the transfer was really beneficial to kids, and now, since they can play right away, I don't know that the percentage of guys that are success stories will be as high, just because that year away, that year sitting out is so beneficial. And I know, you know, I think Baylor, I'm sure, doesn't love the fact that they don't get a have kids sit out, because the hardest thing to do is keep 13 guys happy. And by having a few transfers in the old system, it was a way to redshirt guys where they had to redshirt. Where now maybe you're trying to have those discussions with guys saying, hey, I think it'd be beneficial for you to redshirt. But who's going to take a redshirt anymore, because they're going to say, I want to play right away, and if I leave, I can play right away. So that's what's difficult, I think, with the rule. But I also will say, I think there is an argument on the other side that, hey, these kids, if they are in a bad spot, why not be able to transfer and play right away?
CJ, what have you made of Baylor here as of late? Obviously dealing with some injuries. Looks like they might still be without Akinjo and Sohan going into tomorrow's game as well. Took a couple on the chin, but able to bounce back. Your thoughts on where the Bears are currently and in a wild Big 12, obviously?
Oh, man, it's wild. Like, everybody's going to finish 10-8 or 8-10 between there, right?
Yeah, I think
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's the league's unreal. I mean, K-State is maybe the worst team in the league, and they can beat just about anybody. And we had our latest bracketology thing come out today, and my editor Brian Bennett does it. He had K-State first 4 out, everybody else in the Big 12 other than Oklahoma State who can't get in the tournament. So 8 out of the 9 eligible teams in, and K-State first 4 out. So that speaks to how good it is. But as for Baylor, I wouldn't be too concerned. I think the injuries have obviously hurt them. James Akinju's arguably, if not their most important player, one of their most important players. I think Jeremy's also really, really important just because of how versatile he is. And, let's say in the games, I know there was the one game, I'm trying to remember which one it was, where he played the 5 some and was integral there. So, I think the injuries hurt. I think that they maybe lost a little bit of their edge on defense for a little bit when they started scoring a little easier. And I think that's maybe something they need to get back at some point to, hey, let's really take pride in our defense. I think if they are as excellent as they were defensively, like when they were playing Villanova back at that time of the season, if they can get back to that, get that edge, I think the offense will take care of itself.
We're talking again to CJ Moore, theathletic.com, and he wrote an article about Andrew Nembhard, who last year in that championship game with Baylor, so much time and focus, of course, was on Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs, and also Kispert. But Nembhard actually played more minutes than everybody and had 4 assists in that game. So tell me, why is he perhaps the glue guy or the key to that team this year?
Well, he's one of the best players in pick and roll in the country. I think he makes excellent decisions in the pick and roll. John Jacobs, who comes out of that Gonzaga system, I think he's played a big role in the success of the Baylor guards and helping those kids be able to read in the pick and roll and know what the tag guy is going to do and, see the whole floor in those situations. I think that's why the Baylor guards got so good at that. I think John deserves a lot of credit for that. Well, Andrew Nembhard is about as good as you get in college basketball, and that Gonzaga system, they do a really, really good job of teaching it. And then the other thing that he's doing is they're playing with incredible pace, just playing super, super fast, playing faster than anybody in college basketball. And he does as good a job as anybody as throwing it ahead. It kind of reminds me watching the tape of what I wrote this in my story of what Lonzo Ball was like at UCLA. Just an excellent throw ahead passer. And he's really fun to watch. Not a guy that's like as athletic as as Suggs from Gonzaga last year, or even Davion Mitchell, but just a very cerebral, smart player who really gives Drew Timme a lot of his buckets.
How did you see when you're spending time with Gonzaga, that loss affect them now? How they kind of fueled from that? Because again, they were one of the greatest teams of all times and then got embarrassed in the championship game.
Yeah, I wasn't with Gonzaga. I didn't go there. I'm doing a thing this year called Film Study where I just watch as much film as I possibly can and kind of break down the game there. So I can't say that I was with Gonzaga and have a good sense of where they are mentally, but I'm sure that's driven them, and I'm sure they're hungry to get back. And I think Drew Timme came back to school in part to have a chance to win a national title, and they've got a really, really good team this year, as they do every year.
CJ, when you mentioned that, how much, Paul, you brought up the Baylor loss, how much, no matter what they do, and if they run the table again, if they just just blow everybody out? I know they got a couple of losses, but if they just run right through it, is there still going to be any kind of skepticism, even though they were in the championship game, but it's the way that thing ended?
Oh, there's only skepticism because they play in the WCC and you get that crap every year. But they played in 2 of the last 4 national championship games. I think they've been to the second weekend in 6 straight years. Like, it doesn't matter what conference they play in. They've got incredible talent. They were one of the best offensive teams in modern history of college basketball last year. They just ran into a juggernaut in Baylor, who was, I think, also one of the best college basketball teams in recent memory. So those were 2 great college basketball teams playing on Monday night, in 2021. And, I think if they play 10 times, I think Baylor wins more of the 10 than Gonzaga does. But, that game could have easily gone a different way if it maybe starts differently. So I thought that was a team fully capable of winning a national title.
CJ, tonight we got number 14 Michigan State, number 8 Wisconsin, and the Big Ten. What are your thoughts on that conference right now and that matchup later on tonight?
I think the Big Ten's really good. I don't think top to bottom, Big 12's the best. We already hit on that, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Big Ten is really good. I think Wisconsin has one of the best resumes in college basketball. Has only lost 1 game with Johnny Davis. One of their losses came to Providence when he was out. I did a story on him last week or 2 weeks ago. I think he's the favorite to win National Player of the Year right now. If you had to pick, he's been tremendous and a cool story because he was a guy that came off the bench last year. But that'll be a really good game. I think it's a really good league. Michigan State coming off a loss against Northwestern. It's a big game for Michigan State, but the top 5 in the Big Ten, I think their top 5 could all make the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. The 2 teams that I think are the best in that league are probably Purdue, who's took a knot last night to Indiana, and then I think Illinois is really good too. I think those two teams are national title contenders.
Did you see Auburn being this good, and what are your thoughts on what's building up to be a fantastic, atmosphere with Auburn and Kentucky tomorrow?
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I heard their standing room only tickets are going for like $250, $300 or something like that, which is just insane. But no, that'll be a fun game. I think Auburn is one of the surprises with college basketball because you look in their backcourt and they've got guys that kind of came out of nowhere, mid-major-ish type dudes that are playing really, really well. Kind of similar to what Baylor's been able to do with, some of the guards they brought in the past. So, Bruce Pearl's done a good job. They're really, really talented. I think that was also a national title contending team. His team's always played so hard, and Kentucky is getting right. Like Kentucky's been really good lately. They weren't that great the other night against A&M, but still found a way to win the game. And Ty Washington's coming around. Oscar Tshiebwe's been a beast. Big 12 people know how good that guy is, and I'm happy for him that he's found a spot where he's doing really well. Because Scott Drew will tell you this: he recruited him. That kid's just a delight, and he plays so hard. And it's been cool to see him have a good season.
CJ, good stuff as always, man. Thank you. Great writing with theathletic.com. CJ Moore Hoops on Twitter. And he has written a lot of stories in the past about Baylor. He's the one that did the story about Jonathan Chama. One night, I forgot who it was, might have been Vital, and he heard the ball being dribbled outside early in the morning. It was Chama just kind of throwing the ball up against the backboard. He's gotten some great stuff, not just Baylor, but now covers quite a bit with what's going on with Gonzaga and everybody else
Kansas.
In between.
Yeah,
Kansas
a lot of
too.
Kansas.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, Mitch Sherman covers Nebraska football, and that's got to be hard to do because I know how hard it is to watch them, but are they able to find a few things that could give them a chance, especially on offense with the transfer portal? All of this from Paul's earlier list this week about the top 5 or maybe not so best 5 transfer portal programs to date. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Went by there. Was going to go by there today, and I had to end up going. I went on Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, which I'll tell you about later. Driving around a brand new Wagoneer. Man, this thing is loaded. So I was on my way over there, and I got sidetracked because I needed to go by and pick up a truck to drive around or big vehicle for a few hours. But I'll be over there tomorrow because they're open on Saturdays, because I want to get, I'm going to order like a 3-pound boneless prime rib and just see what that looks like tomorrow night after a few hours in the smoker. They have what you need. They have a full-fledged bakery, fresh baked bread, and also fresh kolaches baked every single morning, pies, desserts, treats, and sweets. And then, of course, the butcher shop. Oh, I know a prime rib can be high dollar, but so can anything else when it comes to beef or steaks. But they have, and they'll custom cut what steaks you want. I like bone-in ribeyes, and I like them about 1.25 inches or even thicker. And on top of that, they have pork, poultry, and seafood. And what you need with some of the key items from anywhere from, let's say, saltine crackers to Rotel tomato if you're going to have a dip this weekend to watch the NFL games with queso. And chips and more and seasonings and sauces at 425 Lakeyard Drive in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness continues to add more weapons to your getting or staying in shape arsenal with 8 brand new treadmills ready for you to run or walk a mile or 2 or 10. And with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman with more courts available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available, their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Everywhere you look, there's energy, passion, and commitment. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and all the locker rooms with showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts with a youth academy led by pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise available and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Masters of Barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue is Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads, crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's margaritas and mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoke on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sick on 365 Radio. This is it. This is when you're going to sell something in May. You have Mother's Day. You have Easter. You have things that go on, weddings. But this is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did an estate yesterday, and I looked at 35 pieces. Well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her, and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, Paul Catalina, top 5 at the end of each show. One of them this week was what programs have benefited the most from the transfer portal. Of course, that's changed in the last couple of 2 or 3 days with all the news. Mitch Sherman, theathletic.com, covers Nebraska football, which he should get a raise for doing that. Joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Do they feel pretty good in Lincoln about what they've been able to add to the what has been kind of a puzzle that sometimes has not made sense?
Yeah, first you can talk to my bosses about that request there.
I will.
Yeah, get back to me. Let me know what they say. But yeah, I mean, it's been Smokey. It's been a good 7 weeks for Nebraska, which was not the case of the 7 weeks previous to that. But 7 weeks ago today, Nebraska on Black Friday finished out the 2021 season with another one-score loss. It was the NCAA record or FBS record 8th loss by one score in a single season against Iowa to finish 3-9. So about as bad as could have ever been imagined from a win-loss perspective. And since then, Huskers under Scott Frost entering his 5th year have gone through kind of a metamorphosis with this coaching staff, especially on the offensive side. And then the work that they've done through the portal, officially announcing just today. So good timing on this conversation. 10 mid-year transfers, in addition to some commitments, or at least one commitment from a kicker who will be coming after the spring semester. So, you're talking about close to 10%, or actually more than 10% of the entire roster, along with the 16-player recruiting class and 5 new assistant coaches. So, of course, the transfer portal and those 2 new quarterbacks, including Casey Thompson from the University of Texas, are of most note when you look at this from a national view.
I'm interested, particularly, Mitch, in what they did at quarterback. I mean, obviously most people would be, but it is curious. A lot of teams go in and get one guy because it's hard to get more than one. You're trying to get a starter, but they lose Adrian Martinez, which was in the best interest of both parties, clearly, because they'd kind of gone as far as they could go together. But they bring in Casey Thompson, who's also going to be the starter. But then they go get Chubba Purdy, who has a lot more eligibility left and can push Casey Thompson a little bit. Is it good that they brought in some actual competition? Because maybe that was the problem with Adrian Martinez. They had to sink or swim with him no matter what.
Well, yeah. I mean, we assume that Casey Thompson is going to be the guy. And obviously with his credentials and his experience, he's unlikely to go to a place if he doesn't expect that he's going to be the starter. And I fully expect that when Nebraska goes to Ireland and plays Northwestern in Dublin on August 27th, that Casey Thompson's going to be taking that first snap. He's going to be the starting quarterback. But I don't think Chubba Purdy, as a transfer from Florida State, is coming in without the expectation that he's going to have the chance to compete in the spring. And in fact, I think that Logan Smothers, who started the final game of the season for Nebraska when Adrian Martinez was hurt, would not have come back this semester if he didn't have the expectation that he would be allowed and able to compete for that position when the spring kicks off on February 28th. Also, all that said, Thompson is the most experienced, the most accomplished, perhaps the most talented of that trio. And even going 2 more down the line, Nebraska has a redshirt freshman quarterback with a lot of talent, and then a kid from San Antonio, Richard Torres, coming in also this week at the semester as a true freshman early enrollee. So it's going to be an interesting spring for sure. Thompson definitely has the leg up, and yes, to answer your question, I think the reason they did this is because look around college football. How many backup quarterbacks do you see playing throughout the course of a year? It happens all over the place. It happened at Texas last year, of course, with Thompson and the injuries that he endured, and he was the second guy in after Hudson Card. So he's been through this. Purdy has been through this. He was hurt at Florida State for a chunk of his 2 seasons. So, and I think with the offense that even with this changed offense that Nebraska is going to run with Scott Frost bringing in Mark Whipple as the new OC out of Pitt, there's still going to be an element of quarterback run involved. And, in that situation, quarterbacks are more likely to get dinged up. So depth is a good thing.
Mitch, obviously a lot of changes going on, and we are fresh off one of the craziest coaching carousels ever, and Scott Frost remained in place. What's just sort of the feeling right now around the program and the immediacy needed to see some progress made?
Yeah, it's urgency with a capital U. I would say the fan base, if it wasn't split at the end of the 21 season, it was a very slight lean in favor of doing what Nebraska and what Trev Alberts, the first year athletic director, did. There was a huge financial stake at play if Nebraska had chosen to get rid of Frost after last season, and instead he got a renegotiated contract that'll kick in with a reduced buyout on October 1st of this year, which just happens to be the 5th game of the season against Indiana at home. So should be a good sense at that point of how this 5th season is going for Frost. He is undeniably on the hot seat, and if it doesn't go considerably better than what we saw in 2021, and you can gauge 2021 in a lot of different ways. The close losses, some of the progress that Nebraska showed, especially on the defensive side, are positives. But at this point in Frost's tenure, going into year 5, it comes down to wins, and those 3 wins were not even close to what the expectation is going to be moving forward.
How much of the remake of the offensive staff do you expect to change the style in which maybe where Scott Frost would be maybe more hands off with the offense?
Yeah, I mean, his aim is to be more of a CEO kind of head coach, somebody who can take care of the things that experienced head coaches deal with, off the field things, work more on the defense, pay more attention certainly to the special teams, which has been just a gigantic problem for Nebraska. And I wrote about that today. And finally, Nebraska after 4 years Frost has hired a full-time dedicated special teams coordinator. It was needed. If not at the beginning, very, very soon after the beginning when he came in 2018, and here we are in 2022, and it's just now happening. Nebraska allowed touchdowns last year via kickoff return, punt return, punt block. There was a safety allowed on a muffed punt return in the season opener. There was a 2-point or an extra point blocked for a 2-point conversion. It had 2 other muffed punts that resulted in turnovers. It was just a disaster. And the coverage units were bad. The field goal kicking was bad. There were 4 missed extra points. In every way, the special teams could have been terrible for Nebraska in 2021. It was, and worse. So, it's not really an exaggeration to say that special teams has cost Nebraska a half a dozen games over 4 years in Scott Frost's career. So you got to do this. And in addition to hiring a special teams coordinator, doing what he's done with the offense and moving away from calling plays, it allows him to take more of an interest in that. We'll see what the offense looks like. I think it's going to be very much under wraps until that opener. Nebraska's not going to give anything away in the spring and give any hints to Northwestern and those non-conference opponents about what the Whipple Frost offense looks like. But there will be elements of what Frost liked to do, as I said, with the QB run game and some of the shorter passes, and incorporating the option as he did a year ago, and then with what Whipple did in taking Kenny Pickett to a Heisman Trophy finalist position last season.
Mitch, we always focus in these transfer portal rankings. They account for who you're bringing in, but I don't know that many of them really account for who you're also losing. But I know there's a lot of transfers, especially during the month of December for Nebraska. In terms of who's leaving, is there anybody notable that causes them to have to find a quick replacement? I mean, how do you view sort of their losses?
Well, Martinez he's going to Kansas State, and he's the most notable of the losses. And obviously they've addressed that with Thompson and Purdy at the quarterback spot. Some linebackers. Nebraska has taken a bit of a hit at that position just today. Wyndon Ho'ohuli, a Hawaiian player from the 21 class, entered the portal. He was a top 200 prospect, a 4-star kid a year ago, the top defensive signing in the Huskers 21 class. But it's not been a huge, in terms of numbers, there's not been a huge loss to this point in the offseason. In fact, the last 2 off seasons that have saw a lot more in terms of departures from Nebraska than what we've seen so far this year. Of course, there's still quite a bit left. We're only in January, and I would expect when some of these transfers get into practice in March and into April, that it's going to thin out some of the ranks more, and you'll have some more transfers off of this team after spring practice because of the added competition that comes in that has come in through the portal.
Thank God for the transfer portal, right? I mean, can you imagine the situation Nebraska would be in or Scott Frost would be in without it?
Yeah, I mean, recruiting would have been different. The way that they went about attacking a recruiting class for 2022 would have certainly been different if they hadn't known that the portal was going to be a big part of this newcomer group. That still doesn't necessarily excuse Nebraska for having the lowest ranked recruiting class in the Big Ten. Yeah, it was low on numbers, but it was also low on star value. You didn't see there's one 4-star player, Jaden Gold, who's an early enrollee at cornerback out of New Jersey. And the rest is a bunch of 3-star kids who may turn into be developmental players and be contributors in this program, as we've seen occur a lot in the Big Ten West. And in fact, in the Big Ten West, that's kind of been the path to success, is to taking that level of player at Iowa and Wisconsin and turning them into all conference kind of guys, into NFL kind of players. But it's not really been the formula that Nebraska has attempted to master. So there's not really a way to put a good spin on the way that recruiting went for Nebraska, but the portal has, at least to this point, temporarily saved the day for this group of newcomers.
Mitch, a couple of weeks ago, I actually had COVID, and I had all the symptoms you have, and I've been fine now other than a little annoying cough. You started going over those special teams mistakes, and I feel like I have COVID again because it was disastrous. The punt to Michigan State, the wrong side of the field, the fumble by Martinez for an easy field goal against Michigan. It's just, my God, it was
the Illinois game.
The Illinois game.
I told him, Mitch, I said, I've never seen a team that has found so many different ways to lose football games in excruciating fashion. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yeah, the block punt to Iowa. As soon as that ball was blocked, game was over, right? I mean, it's just insane. Yeah. And I can't imagine. I'm serious. I'm calling. You guys were just bought by the New York Times. I'm calling them up and saying, hey, when you sign that Mitch Sherman up, he deserves some shrapnel pay because of all of the ways you've tried to describe them. Well, you have an article about Bill Busch, and if he can't fix it, doesn't matter what the special teams did. Wasn't it the story in a way true that if Scott Frost can't win there, then who can, unless you get like Nick Saban showing up? If he can't win, is that a frightening thought that if he can't do it, there may not be anybody who can?
It's a narrative that's been discussed at Nebraska at times over the past few years. When Scott Frost came, the expectation was that it was just going to take a little bit of time, then it would take off. And there were no concerns about sitting in year 5 and, wondering if he was ever going to have a winning season, which is the position that Nebraska finds itself in now. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the narrative that if he can't do it, then no one can. I mean, if he can't do it, there's reasons for that. There's reasons that he struggled. And I don't think it all has to do with the inability to win at a school like Nebraska. There's still tremendous resources, tremendous fan support. It's a conference in a division where Nebraska can have success. I mean, if you can win at Kansas State, if you can win at Iowa State, if you can win at Iowa and Minnesota and Purdue and Northwestern, then certainly you can win in Lincoln, Nebraska with the the things that are in place. So I understand that conversation, and when Frost was hired, it sounded like a good thing to say, like, hey, you're bringing home the native son who just is coming off a 13-0 season at UCF. He's the hot commodity in all of coaching. This guy had his choice. He could have gone to Florida. He maybe could have gone to Tennessee. If he waited around, who knows what job would have come open that he could have had. And these are not the kind of places that people are usually picking Nebraska over. So I get it, but I also come at it from the perspective that that if there is a next coach that follows him in a short period of time here, like 2022, the end of the season, I don't think that guy has the deck stacked against him because Frost couldn't get it done. It's a new story and a new task for that guy. And yes, I think he would be able to win if the situation fell into place.
Mitch, thank you very much for your time, buddy. Appreciate it. Great to have you on the show. Can't wait to talk to you right during the college football semifinals with Nebraska next year against whoever. I know, seriously, good luck. I hope they can turn it around. It's been way too long. Thank you. Mitch Sherman, theathletic.com, covers Nebraska on the transfer. All right, Paul, we've hit Florida, Ole Miss, Nebraska. We got to get Florida State, but your arrogant writers won't call me back. Yeah. LSU, and they might, by the time we get somebody, maybe Scarborough, whoever, by Monday or so, they might have this quarterback who lands in their lap. I don't
worry
know.
about Mike, by the way.
Well, we got to do Texas next week, too, because of what they've been able to do.
Don't worry about Mike. Mike and I have been texting.
Oh, my God, no. Mike Scarborough has gone down the worst of all of the diva rabbit holes.
I'm just worried about Mike. I mean, it happens. I just know.
He's been sending you those.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to blast him. Yeah. All right. God. Yuck. Tony Altamore sent us a few things in the chat room overnight when it comes to NIL. Might have been this morning. I'll read that, plus a couple of others as well. We will hear from Alvin Brooks III, Baylor assistant coach, on their way to Norman. They play Oklahoma tomorrow. He'll join us today at 5 in Paul's Top 5. What's it on, Paul? Louis Anderson's best?
No, it's Top 5. This is going to be a running list. I need help from our viewers and listeners on this, but I did the Top 5. These are Texas. This is crowdsourced. Free drink list. Who of your athlete at your school is on the free drink list?
Oh, I saw that. I saw you put that up.
Yeah, listen, Baylor, I have a ton of yours. I need, this is also just shows my pathetic Twitter reach, but I need outside of
Waco?
The Lone Star State particularly, yes.
All right, we'll have that today in about an hour. By the way, we have a new intern who joined us today, Jack McKenzie, his first day with us in forever. Jack was out with a contract demand. Armstrong Sims, who's been flying solo for a long, long time. I asked Jack, I said, are you coming back? He goes, I'm going to stay out as long as Armstrong did back in the fall. I can't believe he would say that about him, especially on the record. When we come back, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Cars are coming, trucks are coming. If you've been waiting to buy a new GMC Buick or Cadillac, now's the time to contact Richard Carr Motors as they're receiving deliveries of new cars and trucks each week. Get on Richard Carr's inbound vehicle list and you can get your new car or truck as they arrive. Plus, buy a car now and get 0% financing for 72 months for qualified buyers. Best truck on the road right now is a GMC Sierra. Sierra's got it all. Available 277 horsepower engine, best-in-class cargo bed volume and head and leg room, plus a luxury interior and ride that compares to a luxury sedan. Richard Carr has Sierras in stock with more on the way. Most trucks are at 0% for 72 months for qualified buyers. And Richard Carr also has 11 SUV models to choose from with dozens of trim options. They're your one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs, whether it's a fun and nimble Buick Encore or the sophistication and luxury of a Cadillac Escalade. Richard Carr has the SUV you need starting at $24,000. So call now, come by now, or go online to find the perfect SUV for your family. Trust the good local people you can count on. For over 20 years in Central Texas, proud Wacoans and proud Baylor Bears, log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Here we are, 451. Sikkim 365 Radio, Craig Smoak to my right, left on the screen, Paul Catalina to my left, right on the screen, Jack McKenzie back from vacation, and also Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. By the way, we got to say, Hayden Bumpus, who's been a lot of behind the work, does your graphics for the top 5. Hayden's now, gone.
Well, we have him for one more week.
Oh, I thought he was already out.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll say goodbye to him when he's back in
one
studio.
more week. I think he's already gone. I don't think he lives here in Waco anymore. So he'd have to come specifically to say goodbye and then leave again.
We could put him on Zoom or Skype.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think we ought to do that, Armstrong, next week, don't you think? Well, I think that's something we should do. Craig, you were pointing something out. Was there something I need to mention?
No, I was just showing that Baylor's new director of player personnel just made it official on Twitter. Tyler Foster put out a tweet of him in the Baylor gear and the lighting setup that everybody uses nowadays for recruiting pictures and whatnot. With the what do you call those lighting tools, guys, that you probably use? They're not listening.
Ring lights.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know what they're called, like these light bars that they use for all these photos now for these college recruits. He's standing in front of one of those types of setups, and he's got the BU shirt on. So, the new Tyler Foster, new Associate Director of Player Personnel, which is, we know they've really revamped the player personnel side of things and have really been shaking a lot of, like, most of the movement on the staff has been, obviously Joey McGuire left, but that was like a year ago at this point. That's been, I'm not trying to be joking, really. It's just like it's been so long already. And so that seems like last year almost. But behind the scenes, or in front of the scenes, Matthew Pallage is now gone at Oregon. He took a promotion. Chancey Stuckey's gone to Notre Dame, just a sideways move. I guess maybe a little bit of a bump because it is Notre Dame, but same position. He's coaching wide receivers. And maybe there's one I'm not thinking of, but yeah, no, I guess that's it. Safeties and wide receivers. But yeah, Tyler Foster is one of many, seems like shakeups additions that they've made for the personnel department. So yeah, I just saw him, tweet out an official pick. So
Kansas
I guess
State.
It's all.
He's been at Kansas State. Yeah. And I just saw it on the Sikkim, of course. Cole Barber immediately has it up. Tyler Foster coming to Baylor from Kansas State, a new profile pick. One of the things that is happening in Baylor football behind the scenes, and I think we've kind of alluded to this a little bit, and maybe next time we get Mac on, which hopefully will be Tuesday, not only about the NCAA tournament, but things going forward, is what Dave Aranda, in almost not a silent assassin in a negative way, but in a way has recreated a ton of what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to personnel, scouting, the football department. They've brought in a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And they have, in some cases, I think, just like last year, he quickly reacted to the offense being awful with what they did with Mateos and Grimes and others, and Chancey Stuckey, all that. So that was one thing he did. This year, near the end of the year, and even after the Joey McGuire to James Blanchard, he has methodically been changing up the depth and also who is in charge. And some were gone even before the bowl game that we didn't even know much about. And he has just restocked that cabinet even deeper.
Well, a little more on Foster. I got this from Go Power Cat. And who's the author? Ryan Wallace. He does a good job covering K-State. Foster was an offensive analyst in 2021. He only was at K-State the last few months. He got there in June, so he was there a very short amount of time. And obviously, like I said, new associate director of player personnel at Waco. Another hire that they had made, Kiava Soil Cormier.
Yep.
We had talked about that, I think, last week, who was at LSU as assistant director of recruiting operations. That's another addition that Baylor has made. But Foster, apparently a rising young Texan, Ryan Wallace calls him, specifically influential connected figure in the Dallas recruiting area. He helped initiate K-State's effort with a number of rising Texas talents, and apparently when he wasn't recruiting, he was working with Deuce Vaughn in the running backs. So I wonder how much of that he will do, but it looks like obviously he will be mostly focused on player personnel and those types of things. So yeah, interesting to see that made official.
All right, good to kind of that popped up on the screen as well with Baylor as they continue to stock. I'm seriously, it's like they're stocking a fish pond with new talent in the personnel department, so to speak. All right, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones was on with 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and this is from a Todd Archer story, but I also heard this myself. Not sure who told me this, but he was talking about the coordinators and how they worked throughout the year, and the reason they were playoff worthy and maybe Super Bowl worthy was because of the work that the coordinators. But he was asked, and I was listening to it, a clip of it. He was asked about, are they going to be retained? Well, we know Dan Quinn's all but gone, right? If Jerry wants to keep Dan Quinn, even a head coaching job, he can't keep him from doing that, or Kellen Moore, or whatever.
I mean, unless he just money whipped him and said, you can't pay your head coach, your two head coach salaries on the thing. I mean, he can. I mean, it's the money too, but it doesn't make any sense.
If I thought changing out men at any level would improve us, I'd change it out. I'm very, very frustrated and upset. You can call it COVID, you can call it anything, but we have used up some very talented players over the last few years. Now, let me be very clear, real clear. One of the pet peeves I have is I don't like this. Well, we've got to work on this offseason. We've got to work on this. I don't go for that. We need to work on things basically all in season. Yeah, that's why you're paying people. That, you can make changes off season because you can't do that in season, personnel, whatever, even coach. But they didn't show any kind of.
The defense got better in season. Then that's why people like Dan Quinn, because the defense got better in season. The offense got worse. And, that's Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, over that. So it was not a ringing endorsement for Mike McCarthy as head coach, but this is Jerry phase one when it comes to dealing with the head coach.
Yeah.
He's not firing Mike McCarthy now, but he's letting Mike McCarthy know that he knows what he doesn't like. He's already picked it out. So fix that thing, or then we're going to have a conversation.
All right, is Mike McCarthy capable of being a guy that is good? He's a good dude. I don't have anything against Mike McCarthy. Is he capable of being someone that can do that if they find themselves in the same situation next year, but it's something else that's not working?
Let me put this to our resident Packers fan. Jack, is Mike McCarthy capable of adapting and changing and ever morphing to the modern ways of football? Is Mike McCarthy capable of taking the best,
more than Aaron Rodgers is why they won a Super Bowl,
the most physically talented quarterback we've seen in the last decade, and winning more than one?
Yeah. You answered it. Okay, all right.
No, I think Jerry's most interesting comments had to do with fans complaining about the sun. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't even see that part. Please, did you have that?
I wish to hell all I had to worry about was a ball hitting a jumbotron or a little sun getting in there. Conditions and elements have been a part of football since it was spelled the first time. That's about 10,000 on my list of things to worry about. And no, we're not going to do anything with it. It goes both ways. Both teams had a chance to get in the sun. Both teams had a chance to get out of the sun. Relative to the elements I see other people play in, it's nothing. He does understand fans' frustration because they lost, and that's why really most people are complaining about that one little aspect. He said, well, I do the very same thing. When I've had my ass kicked and people are mad at me, then I'm going to pick something out that I could pick on them. Well, I don't like that they color coordinate or they don't wear something I want them to wear, when really it's something much more important than that. What we've got our mind on is the fact that we didn't play well enough in the first playoff game with a hell of a team.
Yeah. Look.
So I think those were great comments by Jerry, and he's right. He's not letting any excuses get in there, whether it's the sun or whatever. Every other team's dealing with stuff too. Like the sun didn't affect the team who's not used to playing in that stadium.
Here's what Dallas fans do, though, Paul. You know this. First of all,
fans?
By the way, Babe Loffenberg nuked Cowboys or anybody, coaches, players, or fans who were complaining about the officials. He said he went back and watched the film 3 different times because he has nothing else to do now because there's no other game. He said the Cowboys are lucky as hell that there weren't 25 penalties against him in that game.
Well, I'll say this about Jerry and the Sun first. It's a stupid thing. New England won a game this year where they threw 3 passes because they adjusted to the fact that there were 60-mile-an-hour gusts of wind.
Yep.
You adjust, okay? Yeah, the sun's there. It's there for a quarter maybe at that time. Okay, and it only is a factor. The sun shining in that time is only a factor when they play at 3:30 at this time of year. So it's maybe 2 or 3 times a year because that's when the sun hits and that's the rotation of the big blue orb that we're on. So no, he doesn't have to do anything about it. And yes, everything is perfect inside AT&T Stadium except the sun. Okay, you maybe have something to deal with. It's like he said, both teams have to deal with it. It is an excuse. I remember when Jason Witten dropped a pass against the Giants when the sun was in his face.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
I mean, Cedric Wilson was almost killed.
Yeah,
because of a throw that he never saw. But at the same time, then why throw it to that part of the field? That's your home.
I mean, the point is, it's a dumb excuse.
Yeah,
that's Jerry saying the same thing.
Well, the Cowboys fans have been filled with them this year because they've kind of gone down that I think so, Paul. That everything seems to now be the officials. Mickey yesterday, and I just kind of sat there, love them to death, but the officials and the umpire and all that. You put yourself in that position to have even that single play have to work out perfectly. But Babe blasted him. He also blasted him for not throws that Dak couldn't make to CeeDee Lamb when he had single coverage, which is similar to Troy with what he said. Then Drew Pearson said it. Michael Irvin has said it. All right, when we come back, Alvin Brooks III, Baylor assistant basketball coach. They're in Norman. They have Oklahoma. That game is tomorrow against Oklahoma on the road after the win against West Virginia Tuesday. Alvin Brooks III, body language, young players who have stepped up to give them key minutes, and more. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Look, if you are on the way to a party or some kind of gathering and you, oh my gosh, I forgot to pick up something, and you're a bit in a rush, you don't want to be late, although you can always be fashionably late, but you needed to bring something, stop by, go to the drive-thru, and bam, you probably won't lose any time at all because they are that quick and that efficient. And if you're a fan of craft beer, they have the best selection. If you're a fan of high-end bourbons, they have the best selection. If you're a wine connoisseur, they have an unbelievably great selection of wines at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Whatever you need, they've pretty much got it there for you. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street in Waco. A hidden gem. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment, and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Cryer from the corner. And it rattles home. Wow. What a TO, baby.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We're now joined by Alvin Brooks III, Baylor men's basketball assistant coach with us, Baylor in Oklahoma, in Norman on Saturday. And I've been told you're a body language expert. Was it different in Morgantown, or is that sometimes just because you won the game, people may think it's different?
No, you're correct. It was definitely different in Morgantown. I felt like we were, the connected team that we normally are in Morgantown. So I think we lost a little bit of that connection somewhere after Christmas break. But Morgantown was a huge step to being who we really are.
Is it sometimes, Alvin, good to, especially because it's so disappointing to lose, but especially when you lose at home, which was one of your goals not to maybe get away, even though it might be more difficult in a place like Morgantown or anywhere else on the road in the Big 12, but just to kind of get away?
Oh, it's a blessing. I mean, Big 12 is the best league in the country. And so anytime you can win a game, whether it's home or away, is a huge blessing. But definitely to win on the road, I mean, just because the other team is so comfortable and you have the fans and the environments are different. So to win on the road is definitely huge.
I heard Coach Drew in that documentary, in the one that ESPN Plus is doing, that maybe not as together since the break. You just brought that up a minute ago. Is that a complacency thing? Is that kind of forgetting where you came from? What was that? Or is that just human nature?
I think it's more human nature than anything. I mean, we're human just like everybody else, and especially our student athletes. And so I think a lot of times you never know what they going through or what they may be thinking. And so just remembering the ultimate goal and remembering that, joy is what we live by. I think, sometimes we need a little reminder about that.
Porter Moser, of course, has been an incredibly successful coach. Oklahoma has lost 4 in a row, which makes them dangerous. You beat them earlier this year. When you beat somebody and you play them a second time, who makes the most adjustments, the team that won or the team that didn't?
I think both teams. I think the great thing about the Big 12 is everyone plays each other twice. And so I think both, being in the Big 12 for 10 years, both teams make adjustments. And I think you look to see what you did well, and you look to see what you wanted to improve in. And both teams make adjustments, and obviously whatever you did well, you want to continue to do that well against them also.
When you deal with injuries, how do you know, and I know it's Charlie Melton and the team doctors, and they all have to make decisions, but how do you know as a coach if you can tell if a player's ready to go?
I think it's very difficult just because, we're blessed to have great players, and the reason why they're great is because they think that they can do something at a high level no matter how they feel. And so it's up to us to look at them during practice and see if they're able to help us at the high, at a high level like they're capable of. And, I know Coach Drew mentioned that, James shouldn't have played against Oklahoma State, but, we're competitors. He's a competitor, so we kind of made the judgment to let him try. And so I think, now it's just a matter of they both are day-to-day and seeing what they could do in practice, and then, hopefully they'll be back to where they're ready to play, who knows, maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday.
How important is it when you have a starter who's probably a midseason All-American at guard in James Akinjo, and Sohan, who obviously I think everyone's now realized, who didn't, that he might be kind of like the glue guy with all the things he can do in so many ways, that they were as engaged and as excited and celebrated as much as anybody when that game at West Virginia was winding down or even during the game?
Me personally, being a huge body language guy, I loved it. I thought our bench was unbelievable as far as cheering for their brothers. And I think that's something that we had lost a little bit. And so to see that, for me, I was like, that is great. That's what we need to do in order for us to continue to get better and do what our goals are. We need to have everybody connected like that.
Matthew Meyer was huge. Obviously, L.J. Cryer has stepped up. Matthew loves Morgantown, and he has fun with the mullet and the fans, and they obviously don't like him because he's had two of his best games there. Jay Billis, we had him on the show a couple of days ago, and he said something about Matthew Meyer didn't need to change anything. He just needed to be who he is. Is that kind of where he needs to go back to again?
I mean, yeah, Matthew, the great thing about our team is at one point we had 7 guys averaging 8 points or higher. And so when you have that, any night it could be anybody's night. And so I think, Matt just not putting pressure on himself and playing the way he's capable, that just takes our team to another level because, obviously he's the most talented player on our team.
You went to the screening or the premiere of Ode to Joy. You were there. Coach Tang was there. Adidier was there. What was that? Your thoughts when that thing ended?
It was an unbelievable production. Obviously just seeing, the beginning to now, one thing that, it's hard to put Baylor basketball, they did a great job, and it's hard to put, the history of Baylor basketball in 3 parts. But it was an unbelievable production as far as highlighting what, the Coach Drew era. And I just think that, he did a great job of what all the guys did, the interviews, and seeing some of the former players talking the interviews. And I don't know who leaked the karaoke, but whoever leaked the karaoke, I definitely want a copy of that video to keep for life.
Your father, of course, is now back to head coaching. How much do you still contact him quite a bit? I know now that he's got that role that's a little bit more active. What's been the conversations you've had with him?
I'm just trying to, make sure he continues to stay positive. He hasn't, he's had a lot of injuries. He's had 3 to 5 starters out at times because of COVID and because of injuries, and he hasn't had his full team, not once all season. And so just trying to, help him understand that anybody dealt that hand would have a hard time. And so he doesn't like, losing, of course. And so just trying to keep him positive more than anything.
Dale Bonner has had to play more minutes maybe than you thought, or at least earlier than you thought, or because of some of the injuries as well. Jordan Turner played 3 minutes in Morgantown. No stats, no shots, no turnovers, no nothing. But he played 3 minutes. How about the development of what Dale's been able to do under the pressure of having to play? And then even when someone like Jordan just gives you 3 minutes off the bench, what does that mean?
It's huge. It's huge. I actually went up to Jordan yesterday before practice started, and I shook his hand and I told him, I said, Jordan, you really helped us win that game. Like, you may not have taken a shot, but you didn't make any mistakes on defense. And in order to go into an environment like that and, not make any mistakes and do what the coaches ask you when you hadn't played much, that's a big, a lot of claps to his maturity because, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. And then you also have Dale has played at a high level in practice for a while. And so I don't think it was a surprise for us as a coaching staff and for his brothers because everyone has a lot of faith in him. And he's even better than how he played offensively. He hadn't shown what he could do offensively as much yet, but we are very proud that they were able to, step up. And we always say next man up. They both stepped up and did what they're capable of doing.
Alvin Brooks III, Baylor men's basketball assistant coach on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Again, Baylor tomorrow against Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. After that fantastic start that they had, they're now in a 4-game free fall, and that's what could happen in the Big 12. And so Baylor and Oklahoma, that game is coming up on Saturday. There's some other good ones, of course, at Kansas and Kansas State in a battle of that state as well. All right, so when we come back, we'll look into, we got some of the chat room. Jace Pierce just asked me a question about the Big 12, incoming schools, attendance, etc. We'll get into that. Also read some of your chat room comments, questions, and I got some text to get to from overnight earlier this morning. Raymond in Waco, Tony, the 512, the 419, and the 334. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dr. Kent Petty. What can he do for you? He can make you feel better. He can help you with your weight issues. He can help you with your sex drive, with your sleep habits, and also with your energy. So if any of those are symptoms you might have, it could be testosterone. It also could be a lot of other things. It could be your lifestyle, could be what you eat, could be some habits you have that you don't need to. But testosterone can drop as you get older. And it doesn't mean like some old man like me, 62. It could start when you're in your 30s. But it does start to develop as you get older. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you have all of those symptoms, and it's okay if you do. Dr. Kent Petty, go to pettycliniclowt.com, pettycliniclowt.com. Left-hand corner, there's an email and a phone number. Contact them, get an appointment, and what they'll do first is set you up with getting blood work, lab work, at a blood work, and waive the fee. Get your testosterone levels, and if they're too low, he can put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone levels, weight issues, sleep habits, sex drive, and also focus and energy. pettycliniclowt.com.
It's all about the Start Something New sales event. At Allen Samuels, you can get a 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star with total values up to $7,500 or as little as 2.9% for 72 months. This month, first responders get an extra $500. Come see why Ram continues to win awards year after year. Take home power, performance, and reliability with your new 2022 Ram today from Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Payments for qualified buyers only at 2.9% with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTL Extra. See dealer for details.
It's New Year, new ride time at Richard Carr. New Year pre-owned deals like a 2017 Dodge Challenger for $272 a month, a 2019 Ford F-150 for $422 a month, or a 2014 Cadillac CTS sedan for $227 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection and we pay top dollar for your trade. 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
The year is wrapping up, sports bettors, but BetUS still has your NBA, NHL, college football bowls, UFC, PGA, and of course NFL betting lines up for their 27th year. Live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com today. Use our promo codes SICK'em125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'em200 if you use crypto. So use the 3-decade leader, BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'em125 and SICK'em200.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, let's go to a couple of notes. The chat room, and I don't know exactly the information here. Jace Pierce, question, guys. I know the Big 12 has a stadium capacity rule of 45,000, hence why TCU had to increase theirs in 2011 to 2012. Do we know if Cincinnati and Houston are going to be held to the same standard? I believe, and because I think Boise State, in fact, is already starting to work on their stadium. If, in fact, we ever get to Chapter 2, which I still believe is on the burner, it's just been pushed back because of the season stretch drive, the college playoffs, the holidays, and, oh, by the way, Oklahoma and Texas, they're kind of just treading water.
I think it's a combination of things that could be delaying any, other further expansion, is that everybody kind of had to save face and kind of put the fires out first. They had to, and then by the time the fires went out, the smoke was still billowing from the embers, and then the season started. And so it's like, well, you just went from one thing to the next. And so I think that once everybody found their spot at the table, with the other leagues that needed to replace teams, then replacing teams, I think, everybody just played a season, and now it's just kind of like, all right, there's so many other things that are going on to have to deal with. So I don't have any doubts that there's still some thought in the Big 12 offices about, getting bigger. But, yeah, until Oklahoma and Texas leave, you really can't do anything right now.
You already have to rework the schedules for a couple years and then maybe do it again. I think that plus the other thing is that now they've probably – that way you don't rush into this. The potential next four, which we know who the four are probably going to be, but there's probably, some other teams that might be able to slide in there if somebody just, collapses in trying to build what they want. But if you tell, say Memphis, you got to fix the Liberty Bowl. Well, now it gives them a chance to work through the city and get that done before they jump in and say, we have a plan for this. Other than, well, let us do this and we'll figure it out later. Boise State can work on basketball and things that they need to do to improve those facilities and whatever they need to do to improve their football facilities, which I think Boise has a pretty nice setup for football. But those things that they need to work on down the line that were you guys can come in, but here's our checklist for you. Now they have time, as opposed to having to politic their way into being like, no, it'll be fine by the time we join. Now they can actually have a plan for it.
Yeah, get their ducks in a row. As far as Nippert goes, Cincinnati Stadium, there's actually an article from about 2 weeks ago, and it talked about stadium expansion. Athletic Director John Cunningham, we're getting to a point where we're going to be sold out for season tickets. We're still taking deposits, but we're going to hit pretty soon a point where we've got a waiting list, which is really an exciting thing. I don't know if we've ever had a waiting list for Nippert. He said there is urgency among program boosters to capitalize on their recent rise to national prominence, and said it's fun to go talk to donors, and they've got a bunch of projects that are in the works, and it's a really detailed article, but basically it goes on to say that, yeah, they are exploring the possibility and the idea of wanting to expand Nippert Stadium. It doesn't have details, but that is something they are thinking about.
And when we had Jeremiah Dickey, AD at Boise State, on it's been several weeks now, Boise State made a pitch to the Big 12 Conference in 2016. And then their president, Bob Kustrup, said that renderings of fully enclosed Broncos Stadium, capacity of 48,000, skyboxes on both sides. That was in 2016. It didn't work. So and Jeremiah has mentioned this, and we have also had those who cover Boise State, that they have plans as well. Even right now, they're not even in Chapter 2, and that Chapter 2 is, again, it's kind of like simmering. It's just been kind of placed on hold right now for a little bit, but it's still there. We know the four: Memphis, Boise State, USF, and then also SMU. SMU today had a huge event on all sorts of different upgrades they're making to the athletics department. They wouldn't do that just to do that. They are trying to catch attention. So those are some of the things. Where it is right now, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be like front and center because, as Craig said, a lot of things pushed it back.
Well, the NCAA governance, that's a big deal that the presidents and ADs are all kind of focused on right now.
Well, and the conversations we don't have any ideas about are the TV network conversations because of the grant of rights, right? And we've established that until that gets cleared up for some of the others, that it's not going to really reveal too much in terms of the direction the Big 12 or how quickly the Big 12 should potentially look at expanding. So there's, like to your point, Paul, there's a lot of outside factors that are playing into it right now that are keeping it something that's down the line more so than anything. But yeah, Cincinnati's looking at stadium expansion. To answer your question, no idea. We have no idea on the rules of the Big 12 and their stadium expansion, on what they might have told Cincinnati about not having the minimum of 45,000 just yet. So maybe that's something where Cincinnati said, "Hey, we can do it. We're just taking our time to do it, and we'll have it done eventually." Because in reading that article, I mean, they're worried about just keeping ticket demand high, but there's clearly some talk of expanding the stadium and floating.
Nothing better than when you have a waiting list.
Yeah, and so they're really focused on that, and there's plenty of quotes in that article I was just reading that they know that they like the iron's hot right now, and they need to strike while it's hot, and they're going to. So it doesn't look like that'll be a problem for them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that though that was talked about and clearly passed because they accepted them into the league, so it wasn't that much of an issue.
All right, now let's go to a couple of the texts that we got. A couple of these are overnight. Raymond, by the way, asked about the ESPN Plus series that's out. There's about been 3 episodes. They've been in our studio. Raymond, if you don't have ESPN Plus, you can't see it. And it's just one of those things. I was against ESPN Plus for the longest time. Now I've watched a few Baylor basketball games and happened to catch episode 3 of the series, Our Time, on both the men and women. It's pretty interesting. The last one was about James Akinjo's mother, who died when he was 4, and he had a big tattoo put on almost his right front abs. On the phone with his grandmother, and then what he's dealing with Nikki Cowan in the basketball. The women went through the COVID, and then the struggles with the losses as well. Which, by the way, speaking of losses, Kamaria McDaniel no longer on the basketball roster for the Baylor women. Played for them, and it's kind of been that's tough. That never worked out for her. Yeah, but she came over from Tech, right? No, Penn State. Penn State, okay. She would have been the one a couple of years ago when she enrolled. She couldn't play because of the rules at the time would not allow her to come in and play right away. Had she done that a year later, but she did have the knee injury too that set her back. Yeah, well, I saw her post or whatever, and that's tough because they're already short. They needed bodies. They're short on bodies, and that's just one less now that they have, and so that's a shame that it didn't work out. And to have an exit during the middle of the season when you're already shorthanded is just a little more brutal to have to take. But yeah, okay, it is what it is. Yeah, and it's too bad because that would have been another body, as well. Now, Tony Altimore, your buddy Paul, and ours. He's done some things with us, but. He was talking about NIL. Great quote. How long before state legislatures flip out? How much power will schools give out for boosters to self-determine? What red lines will presidents and ADs hold to? This is about, again, the NIL. He also had one more question, and it was a bullet points. I just lost this.
What should schools who can't afford to compete in the money game do? And as donor money shifts to football players, are non-revenue sports prepared for the loss? I mean, these are all things that will remain unanswered until probably the worst part of it happens. When it comes to state legislatures. You mean when it's too late? Yeah, when it's not when it's, but like the worst, the bad part of it comes out. With state legislatures flipping out, look, how long before they start, like competing for, okay, this one has this law and this and all that, instead of having uniformity. That's the thing that really surprises me that the national government didn't do, and state legislatures flip out because there's all this NIL money coming in, and there's no way regulating it, and it's kind of crazy.
Well, to answer your questions, Tony, those are the same questions that I have as well, and the questions that I think everybody has. So I think more so than him even looking for an answer, it's throwing out the questions that everybody has. It's like, when is everybody going to be on the same page? When are governments going to get involved? Because they get involved in everything else college football nowadays. And the whole NIL thing was everybody's got their own rules until everybody's got their rules. And obviously some states got it done and got it uniformed and all that, and a bunch of others did not. And that led to just where these teams can do this and these teams in this state can't do that. And there's uneven playing fields, and that's just kind of typical in college athletics. But there really shouldn't be an uneven play. Like, look, if everybody's on the same plane, Texas is still going to have an advantage over most, like 95% of other schools, because they're just going to have more money than everybody. And there's going to be schools like them that, there's Ohio State or Michigan or whoever, they're just going to have more money. So it's not exactly always going to be an even playing field, but you can readjust it a little bit better than it is right now. Certainly, everybody should be on the same page. I don't think any of us can deny it. Everybody should have the same rules. I agree. And the fact that they don't is very silly.
And if someone's better at you than when using those rules or whatever, they have more. From the 334, this was from Eric Phipps. Love the show. New Big 12 with round 2 schools. Doesn't that look like a freaking fun conference? He, of course, included Chapter 2. And I didn't put the image up. It is of the new teams coming in: Brigham Young, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, but also the ones we've mentioned: Boise State, Memphis, SMU, and also USF. I love all the realignment talk and thought it would be fun to see what the Big 12 potentially could look like with all of the teams' logos together. To me, that makes the Big 12 look so much more exciting of brands. I saw a story that was in Sikkim 365 Premium the other day about Apple, who wants to start having new content. Is that Apple?
Well, Apple's
Apple TV
throwing out a ton of stuff, but yeah,
they want games. And you know what? You never know when the timing's right, where all of a sudden people want new content, games, hours, whatever, which is something the Big 12 and other conferences need to jump on if that's true.
I think they are in talks, if they've not already, probably down the road, about having a national middle of the week MLB game to see how that goes.
They're talking with MLB about having
it'd be like a Tuesday or Wednesday night game would be live on Apple TV. I wonder, and again, I think the NFL would like Apple to buck up and just get the Sunday ticket, and then that way, if you got Apple TV Plus and pay that whatever fee it is, $5.99, $9.99 a month for Apple TV Plus, then everybody would have the NFL Sunday ticket.
Armstrong, you come over here. Go ahead.
So that would be better than trying to funnel it to one cable service or satellite service like they have now with DirecTV, who's not going to have the Sunday ticket the next time around. So.
Well, I was reading an article. Apple, they've had, let's see here. It says Apple's had some notable successes with its streaming service, including shows like Ted Lasso, Greyhound, or movies like Greyhound, but lags the subscriber count of other services such as Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max. By adding sports packages such as MLB or others like college football, it would be a shot across the bow to other networks or streaming services that Apple's serious about live sports. I mean, I do think, Hulu's had the whole campaign around, live sports and all of that. I know a lot of people have used Hulu to watch, Baylor games or NBA or whatever. And I do think that might be the wrinkle that kind of separates some of these streaming services ultimately, is like who does end up with like an NFL package, and who can add college football, like Big 12 games. Because look, if there was a streaming service that had all the Big 12 games on it, and that's where I could find all the Big 12 games, I'm signing up for the streaming service. At least for 6 months. What is going on?
I'm trying to get my microphone.
Okay, it's for at least 6 months. That would be a stream that would get a lot of subscribers just for simply college football. So I think for these stream channels to not be looking at college football would be just stupid. I mean, I know it's a bunch of money out of your pocket initially, but I think you'd probably see the return. But that seems to be the way it's going to go eventually. It's just who's going to jump on it first.
Well, Apple doesn't really have to worry about losing money, necessarily, because they're, everywhere.
Yeah.
Right now, look, they're in front of you and me right now, Craig. Well, they're everywhere. But That's why I think for them it's kind of a win-win operation. Now, what the streaming services and things like Apple will do is they will have the kind of the Columbia House model. That's what it is. If I don't know if people remember Columbia House, but you used to be able to get 13 CDs for a penny, and then you paid a $9.99 fee every month, and they would send you CDs. And then if you didn't send them back, you had to pay that $9.99. Well, most people will just be like, "Oh, here's my CDs."
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
It's the lingering cost.
So you forget about it. So for the 10% of people that cancel, 90% of them keep it forever and forget about it. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to watch Ted Lasso today. I guess I do have Apple TV+.
The 419 on many things. We were talking about the playoffs and bowls and days and all that. It's a long, I don't have time for all of it, but we appreciate the 419. Very active in our text line. Trying to be forward-thinking instead of the old man that doesn't want much change. 18 college football playoff. Use the New Year's 6 bowls for the playoff. The championship game bid by city venue. City venue. Just a thought. Major League men's and women's basketball tournament could be held in a city metroplex as proven last year when COVID sent basketball to Indianapolis. Now, the old man coming out of me a bit regarding football Power 5 for bowl games needs to stay traditional. Sun, Gator, Liberty, Alamo, whatever. For the non-playoff bowls. Let the G5s have their bowls, such as Bahamas, Myrtle Beach, etc. I would play Power 5 and G5 national championship games on the same Saturday. G5 maybe at 3 o'clock Eastern, the championship game at 8 o'clock Eastern, Power 5. And I appreciate it. I can't get to all of it, but we appreciate the text. You text us and want to make sure we were able to read it.
Thanks for the thoughts. And, always interested to hear people's different views on the playoff and the setup. The only thing with the 8 teams is they just don't seem to like 8 teams, do they? They want 4 or they want 12. I mean, I don't see much momentum for just the 8 teams, even though the 8 teams seems like it would be very simple of just, the 6 or the 5 Power 5s, and then you do whatever you do with the G5s or, another SEC team gets in or however you would want to do that. But yeah, 12 seems like it's the most popular model, at least as far as the one that's being pushed forward the most. But 8 was always originally mine as well, was, 5 champs and, fill out the rest of the 3 spots. But I guess that's not enough to cover all the bases. So 12's kind of the direction that's being leaned towards. But yeah, I'd be all for an 8-team model. It seems like it would be easier. You just double what you're doing now and, a couple extra games and not too much of a big deal. Whereas 12, it's a little more complicated, but not impossible, obviously. So, yeah, appreciate the thoughts.
Gary Lewis on the chat room, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Forgive me if this is a rerun. 22 Colorado Buffaloes. Early lock is the worst Power 5 team and Pac-12 team. Gary, who does discuss the Pac-12 with us quite a bit, Colorado, R.J. Sneed, of course, from Baylor transferring there, but they have lost a chunk of players.
Yeah.
I mean, like 17 to 20 of them. And I saw that as a note. Also, Justin R., I think the reason why they aren't looking at 8 teams for a playoff is ESPN would not have to pay any additional money.
That makes sense.
Makes sense, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously reasons why. 8 just seems like it's a nice round number, and it's very simple, 8-4-2 championship.
All right, let's make predictions in the playoffs this weekend.
All right, what was the text you did about Colorado? Yeah, Colorado, man, they got to get their act together. I mean, you quickly lost Mel Tucker, and that did not help things, as you were making a transition, and that you had to turn right around and make another one. But, man, it was not that long ago when Steven Montez was back there, good old El Paso kid, throwing dimes and had some, Lavisca Chenault out there making some great plays, and yeah, they had a lot of Texas flavor, and 3-4 years ago maybe they were doing well, and it's just it's not great right now.
It's like they're there,
no. And quite frankly, just a program that growing up hated them for all the best reasons because they were like the villain Colorado, because I was watching Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Colorado was like a bad guy, right? But you knew that they were damn good, and you respected them, and they had great players and. Never forget watching, the Michael Westbrooks of the world, much less the Rashawn Salams and those guys, and Cordell and the cast of crew they had. But since they've left the Big 12, I have just not – they just – other than the Montez years or some guys that I follow from Texas and maybe a year or two here and there, since they've left the Big 12, they're just they –
You mean like Nebraska?
Yeah, kind of. They don't mean as much to me as they used to, and it's not just because they're not in the same conference, so I don't see them all the time. It's just in general. You think of teams, and you'd reel off Colorado at some point, and now it's like I don't even think about them.
But they, so when they were in the Big 12, they knew they were going to play games in Texas, and that matters to people in Texas. I don't know if that matters as much to the people in California.
But aren't they more of a fit for Colorado than
they are?
Yeah, they are. But as far as recruiting goes, they're where they're kind of in this middle where you would think that they could get kids from Texas and kids from Colorado, or kids from California, but they don't really. And part of that I also think has probably nothing to do with kids wanting to go there because Boulder's beautiful and all. I mean, it has everything you'd want as a university. I think it's probably a long history. And if you look at any of these schools that have this kind of thing, it's a long history of president, AD, and coaches not being in a line.
The ultimate NIL, you would think, is you could smoke as much pot as we can give you.
That's not really. I mean, you could sell the pot with your name image like this.
Yeah.
You could be the spokesperson. I don't even know if that's legal, actually. I mean, I know it is in Colorado, but I don't know if NIL.
I think that's because he can't do beer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then it's probably not legal. Yeah. Because I imagine if it was, you'd probably in states like Colorado already be seeing, tons of that. But yeah.
All right. Let's got about 2 or 3 more things to get to. NFL postseason tomorrow. First game 3:30 Central. Bengals in Tennessee. Tennessee, the number 1 seed in the AFC. And a team, sometimes you got to remember, who is the number 1 seed? They are supposed to get Derrick Henry back.
They're going to get Derrick Henry back.
They're probably not really thought of as like an elite number 1 seed. But hell, here they are with Mike Vrabel. They play tough football. Cincinnati with Burrow and what they've done. Man, that's a fun story. Hear what Burrow said earlier this week. This is our standard going forward. Nothing else is acceptable about them getting and winning the playoffs and winning playoff games. All right, Bengals at the Titans.
Love Joe Burrow. Really enjoy watching him play, but I'm going Titans here. King Henry comes back, and he probably won't be 100% of his old self, but I think he gives them a boost. And that's a team that won without him for the longest stretch. Okay. So I think
they have
the Titans
some bad losses on their schedule. Man.
Yeah, I'll go Tennessee just by a slight margin. I just think they're the better team overall. Number 1 seed for a reason, and Derrick Henry should give them a boost.
I'll take Tennessee as well. I'm home team win a lot of times with the NFL playoffs unless the Cowboys are at home. 49ers and Packers in a throwback rivalry.
I'll go with the Packers here. It's going to be colder than a witch's you-know-what.
What is the witch's cold?
Well, I mean, it's colder than her stuff.
Her stuff?
Yeah, I don't want to go. I've gone there too many times.
You've gone to the witch's stuff?
All right, let's go.
All right, pick. 49ers.
I'm picking Packers.
Okay.
I'll go Packers.
I'll take Aaron Rodgers and the Packers as well. All right, so that's a 7:15 kick. Sunday, first game is at 2 o'clock Central. Central. Cardinals coming off, the Rams, at Tampa Bay in a game where the Rams beat them up earlier this year.
I'll take Brady and the Bucks. I think the Rams are really great. They got all-star cast, but the Bucks have some stars as well. I really, all these games, really, I can see going either way. Obviously, you're down to the final 8. You're going to have close teams. But, I'll default and go with Brady and the Bucks.
This will be the one that I'm going to pick the road team. I'm picking the Rams. I think the Bucks have too many injuries, although Leonard Fournette will probably be back, and that's going to be a help. But the wide receivers are an issue for the Bucks right now. It's Mike Evans. Of course, you have Evans and Gronk. You don't really need much anything else. But I do think that the Rams get this one done. Cam Akers is the best story injury comeback-wise maybe ever. Tore his Achilles in July and is playing now and looks fantastic.
Yeah, he runs hard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Brady had to throw 55 passes, 432 yards, but only 1 touchdown in a 10-point loss to L.A. Stafford had one of his better games, 4 touchdowns, 343, and he's liable to throw a pick or two but didn't. Leading rusher for Tampa Bay in that game was Tom Brady, 3 carries for 14 yards. All right, I'm still taking Tampa Bay until the greatest it loses. Bills at Chiefs. Bills were so impressive, so were the Chiefs. Maybe the best game of the weekend.
I want the Bills to win this game. Man, imagine Bills-Bengals and the ratings that would draw. That would be a network.
It'd be great, though.
That would be great, but it'd be a network nightmare. I'm not a network guy, so screw them. I'd love to see Bills-Bengals and all that, but I would love to see the Bills win, but I am going to pick the Chiefs to win this game.
I'm going to pick the Chiefs as well. I think this is going to be maybe the best one of the whole weekend.
I'm going to go with Buffalo in an upset.
I hope you're right.
Hey.
I really hope you're right.
They could still get drilled because Mahomes is starting to throw for, of course, the
other guy on the other side can throw it around too.
I agree. That's why I like Buffalo. It's tough. I like the receivers, their weapons. I'm going to take them.
Well, like the thing about the Chiefs is just when you think they're down, like the Browns had them last year. Had them. And then nothing.
Yeah.
Chiefs
all right,
won.
so that's it. And then, of course, then they move on to the championship game forever. Now, tomorrow's Big 12 men's basketball games. We mentioned Baylor on the road against Oklahoma. We heard from Alvin Brooks. That's a 2 o'clock tip on the Big 12 Now Network.
Definitely no gimme.
No, not at all. West Virginia at Tech and Lubbock, 11 o'clock early. Oklahoma State at Texas. ESPN2 back-to-back games at 1. Kansas at Kansas State, 3 o'clock tip. Both of those, Kansas State, Kansas, Baylor, Oklahoma, are on ESPN now. That's not ESPN Plus, is it, or is it?
I think so, yeah.
TCU at Iowa State.
Big 12 now, yeah.
Yeah, is on ESPN2 at 3 o'clock. It's a triple header tomorrow on ESPN2. Kansas and Baylor, numbers 5 and 7 in the country, defending champion, and a blue blood relegated to ESPN Plus. Well, that gets some viewers. They'll get a bunch of them.
I don't think ESPN thinks it is relegating. I think they think of it as forcing people to that.
No, that's what I'm
space.
saying. Yeah, they'll get a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
Now, one more thing to wrap up this week's NCAA convention. Dr. Linda Livingstone was on with us live. Alex Kirshner was saying this. At some point, I may start to think that college athletic administrators like talking about how reform-minded they are, but they're too comfortable or lazy to act on that feeling. Richard Johnson said, I'm surprised. I'm funny because Ross and I have been in Indianapolis, Dellinger, had a couple of conversations like, yep, college sports needs a complete overhaul. Then you ask him, what's going on? Well, pretty, that's nothing. It's like, let's talk about it because it allows them more committees. I hate meetings. I hate them to death. I wish, and Dr. Livingstone and company are trying to get some things done. The transformational committee, we'll see what happens.
Well, they talked for like 8 years and did absolutely nothing. So, yeah, they're at the point now where the talking's fine, but they have no choice but to actually act on it. And so they have nobody but to blame but themselves.
Yeah, when you lose 1,000 lawsuits in a row.
Yeah,
the NCAA, it's kind of like the people going into the NCAA are being represented by Clarence Darrow, and the NCAA is like, hey, are you done with law school? Did you pass the bar? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. Come here.
Yeah, we need your help. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina wraps up the week with his top 5. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. I am driving a brand new Wagoneer. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram, Fiat, they have them on their lot. And right now, the Wagoneer Series 2 and Series 3, 2.9% financing for 72 months. $1,500 Conquest bonus cash for Chevy, Ford, GMC, and Toyota owners. Come see why at their lot. Wagoneer is the hottest new vehicle on the road. I'm driving one. And I'm in the Wagoneer, and on to the other side of where I was, the other Wagoneer was a Grand Wagoneer. Oh, my Lord. These things are spiced up. The Grand Wagoneer, they now have SUVs, and I'm not saying like this is rocket science and brand new. There's a little mini refrigerator in the glove compartment and 3 levels of seating with all a sunroof. The Wagoneer that I'm driving, you can walk up to it. It actually jacks it up a little bit higher if you want it. And then when you're getting out of the car, boom, 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 there's a button you can push to get it lower. I'm telling you right now, the glove compartments to the navigation, even the passenger side of this Wagoneer is unbelievable with what they can do with the touchscreen. It's incredible. So right now, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep, and Ted Teague, thank you for letting me drive it for a few hours. I'm headed back to the dealership after the show. It has been spectacular. On the passenger screen, HDMI ports, of course, navigation, wireless headphones, maps, much more. That's for the passenger. This is incredible. Passenger-friendly, driver-friendly. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
American Bank has been serving Waco since 1952, and we're just getting started. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Over the past few years, we've been busy investing in new technology to give you the best banking experience possible. We've also expanded our downtown branch and built 2 state-of-the-art buildings at our Woodway and Belmead locations. With bright open lobbies plus fast, personal, interactive teller machines, everyone in Waco is now just minutes away from face-to-face banking. Visit us today and see how we're invested in serving you at American Bank. Member FDIC.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Brad, what makes you different than anyone else, in your opinion, as far as what Boozer's does?
The fact that I own the jewelry store, anything I need to do, will do, or can do, I can do it. The buck stops with me, whereas a lot of places you have to go up the corporate command and corporate channel. Well, if you come in and want to make a deal, we sit there and we make the deal.
And you can find whatever someone's looking for, correct?
Anything is obtainable. I don't care what brand it is, what size it is, how much it costs, large or small. Anything is obtainable, and we can definitely get that in for you to see, look at, or buy.
Do you have the opportunity, if people have to pay things off, as far as a layaway program? What about what you have with financing?
Absolutely. We have 12-month no interest financing. We have layaway. If you want to pay with Bitcoin, I can take Bitcoin now. So if there's any way you want to pay for it, we can find a way out to make it work.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Welcome back. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Craig Smoak. Okay, this is a running list. I will do these top 5s as long as I get 5 people that I can put in for them. And this is going to be this is top 5 college football free drinks for life list. This is Texas schools. But if you're from a school, it doesn't have to be college football. It can be college basketball. You can throw in a college baseball, people, whatever you want. What? I'll make a list. There's probably some people in college baseball towns.
What was that left-hander for LSU hit the game-winning grand slam or
Walter
whatever?
Morris.
Yeah.
So Walter Morris, or do you think Phil Nevin pays for beer at Fullerton? No. He does. Pepperdine, Fullerton. At Fullerton, no, he doesn't. So here you go. These are the top 5 Texas schools. So I just did Texas schools this time because that's that's my reach. But if you have others, please send it to me at Paul Catalina on Twitter or chat room or text 254-339-1122. I will get them on the list. And number one for Baylor is one this is outsourced. These are completely outsourced from the crowd. Okay. One of these I made a command decision on, but the rest were completely outsourced. Number 5, Texas Tech, Michael Crabtree. This is the one that Texas Tech people told me. I thought maybe it would be Graham Harrell, but then I guess, seeing as how Texas Tech treats their ex-quarterbacks, maybe it's not. So Michael Crabtree has the big catch against Texas. No drinks. No tab for Michael Crabtree.
He walks into a Hooters in Lubbock, he gets a free beer or whatever he wants.
I don't even know if anybody goes there anymore, at least not the one in Waco. But I was in Lubbock around that time. I'm pretty sure he never paid for drinks back then either.
Yeah.
But the reason why not Graham Harrell is because Graham Harrell's just one of like 7 other Tech quarterbacks that all could be lumped into the same category. It's him, it's Sonny Cumbie, it's all those guys that played under Leach basically. And there's nothing that really differentiates him other than the fact that he's the one that threw that famous pass to Michael Crabtree. Mm-hmm. Name another Tech receiver real quick that matters. Wes Welker, there's guys like that, but
he matters more later than...
Yeah. Michael Crabtree is the guy. I mean,
but in a moment, a game that beats Texas or someone like that.
But even if he wasn't the guy that caught that pass, he's still Michael Crabtree. He's still the best receiver they've ever had. And so, Michael Crabtree for sure never has to pay for a drink in Lubbock. Yeah. But I mean, that Texas moment, that just sealed his legacy and everything else. And let's not talk about what happened when they went to Oklahoma right after that.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. Number 4, Bucky Richardson, Texas A&M. Now, look, I got several on this. One of them, and Bucky Richardson, we go way back. We're talking 1991, 92, 93, Bucky Richardson. But this guy rarely lost to Texas, if at all, was in the midst of A&M's, I think, longest winning streak against the Horns. Plus, he was just the personification of an Aggie football player in the 90s, a converted linebacker who was an option quarterback, was Mr. R.C. Sloak. I mean, just absolute up and down. People in College Station loved Bucky Richardson. Now, I was a little torn here. Some people would tell you Johnny Manziel, and I would think that Johnny Manziel being on the free drink list worked to his detriment, so I took him off. Number 2 would have been Dat Wynn. Now, here's what I'll tell you about Dat Wynn. Dat Wynn could very easily make this list, but I've been in bars with Dat Wynn, and the problem is the minute you buy Dat Wynn a drink, he will buy you 7 more.
Yeah.
So he kind of counteracts the whole purpose.
Yeah. We've had some great Super Bowl week dinners with him.
Yeah, he's a fantastic human being, Dat Wynn, so is Bucky, but I've not gotten the chance. But Bucky Richardson was a dominant player in the Southwest Conference, too.
Now, Calzada's gone now, so they don't buy him because he transferred, right? After that Alabama game.
He might get 50% off his tab for the Alabama game.
All right.
Yeah, Calzada has to go off this list. Number 3, and this is obvious for the University of Texas, this is Vince Young. I don't think Vince Young pays for anything at Texas, in Austin. I mean, like drinks, food, a house, car.
He's a great player. Tickets.
I mean, it's Vince Young. I don't think really anything else needs to be said. And there's not even a close second. I mean, maybe you could say like Ricky Williams or something, but I mean, it's Vince there's only one guy I feel like in the history of Texas that competes with Earl Campbell, and it's Vince Young.
That's right.
And so there you go.
Yeah, even some of the old guys, it depends on your age, but he's...
I know there's plenty of other, but like, I mean, as far as like legendary status, it's Earl and it's Vince, in my opinion. And I know there's Cedric and Ricky and all, but it's Earl and Vince.
Yeah, Ricky won a Heisman, but Vince is like this much... I mean, just it is because
Vince won the Rose Bowl and then another national title after that.
It took him for them to win their first since 1970, and they haven't won anything since. So it would have been 51 years had it not been for Vince Young.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 2, LaDainian Tomlinson, Waco native from TCU. This might very well be the greatest player in the history of the Horned Frogs.
Oh, they've got
old timer
Davey O'Brien. I mean, but no, LT is, and he's very beloved there.
Should be beloved everywhere. He's a great human being.
Great, he is.
So.
He is.
Yeah, LaDainian is a good dude and a great Waco native. Although he's originally from
Marlin,
yeah. But he's a tremendous representative for the area and the city, and he's the best TCU player. I mean, other than like a Davey O'Brien, he is definitely on the free drinks list.
Okay, now this one is going to shock you guys, but again, I'm telling you, I'm repeating, this was outsourced.
I know it is.
This was outsourced, and this was the one who was overwhelmingly I mean, he beat out guys like RG3.
It's interesting because
he beat out
the way it ended for him.
All these people. But because of who he is and what he did and what he means to this generation of Baylor football, it is Jalen. He beat out Jaron McVay. It's Jalen Petrie. It is Jalen Petrie. The most people about Baylor who tweeted me said it was Jalen Petrie because he was the guy. The only guy after the scandal who stayed in the recruiting class and turned into a superstar for that Baylor team.
I would have probably
all
not mentioned him in my top 5.
I wouldn't have either.
Yeah, maybe in my top 10 I would have. Maybe we're doing strictly football, right?
Yeah.
He definitely still wouldn't have been in my top 5. I'd had a RG3, Bryce Petty, any number of guys, but he'd be close. That makes. I mean, it's kind of surprising, and then again, you think about it, it's really not. There's not a single negative thing you could say about this young man on or off the field. Dude's done it in the classroom. He's going to have, all of his business affairs taken care of, and he's going to have a football career to keep going with for the foreseeable future. But we know that when football ends, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be great, and he's going to be great at whatever he does. He is a freaking stud, man. I mean, Jalen Petrie, really, him and Terrell Bernard, but that dude's a stud, and never could have imagined when he was the only guy sitting in that recruiting class after Kellen Mond and Hezekiah Jones and Kedrick James, Jamon Osbin, like all those guys that bailed. Baron Browning, although Browning decommitted before Browse was fired, but still, like that recruiting class. Remember how excited everybody got, and I'm like, it's April, it's very early.
Yep.
But that would have been a different looking recruiting class, and he's the only one that stayed. And then eventually they filled it out with Matt Rule, and he turned into the stud that he turned into.
I thought it would have been overwhelmingly your Heisman Trophy winner, Robert Griffin III, but Jalen Petrie. I mean,
I think there's a sentiment there.
And it's maybe prisoners of the moment a little bit, but I did this as an outsourced list. I will keep doing them, so send them to me. If you're thinking Fred Hoiberg or whoever at Iowa State, for basketball. I mean, he's got sandwiches named after him. I mean, that's kind of the ultimate. But I want that list. I want those guys, that's who I want to hear from. That's what I'm here. So
it's Paul Catalina, or is it straight up at iCloud.com?
Yeah, Paul Catalina at iCloud.com if you want to email me as well.
I know we got to go. I got 3 things I want to tie up loose ends here. We're talking about Ron Franklin yesterday and the cause of his passing. I mentioned that he was dealing with, I didn't want to go on record saying what his cause of his passing was and all of that. But I do know he was dealing with dementia-related things, that his health had really gone down. But apparently in the Statesman today, they did say it was COVID-related pneumonia that caused Ron Franklin to pass away. So I just wanted to put out the official word there. It was COVID-related pneumonia, apparently. Also, A&M has a new offensive line coach, it looks like, and they went big as they always do. Steve Adazio looks like he's going to be the new Texas A&M offensive line coach. So he's been obviously got a lot of skins on the wall, been a head coach and all of that. So yeah, apparently Jimbo's going with Steve Adazio for his O-line coach. And this is a local note. This young man's been picking up a lot of offers. And he's a 2023 guy. But Temple linebacker Torian York has gotten a Baylor offer now. Just got it within the last 10 minutes. So there's another local product, a local player from just down the road in Temple who just got a Baylor offer. So they've gotten a lot more local here lately, and I think that's just there's a lot of good players that are coming up the next couple of years in Central Texas. But just wanted to mention him. He's a great player out of Temple High School. He'll have a lot of other options as well, but cool to see the Bears offer him.
Yeah, they've got some. Harrison Pilot was a young stud for them, of course. Samari Howard.
Harrison Pilot.
But Torian York, when I texted, in fact, Scott Stewart, I was on the phone with him yesterday. I said, give me the best defensive player. They had a few of them, and it was no question that Torian York, and he's going to have tons of offers. All right, thank you all for being with us for yet another week, whether it's YouTube, it's on the app or online or wherever it might be. Our sponsors, another week. Thank you very much, Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims, Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak. Thank you. We'll be back Monday at 3 o'clock. Enjoy your weekend, the NFL playoffs, the Big 12 in basketball, and, of course, there'll be something transfer portal as well. I'm David Smoak. Good night. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.